Happy Sunday. I think this is the first Sunday that I've streamed since when? It might be like for the entire year. It's been a while is my point that I streamed on the weekend. So happy Sunday, everyone. It is now exactly 7 p.m. July 26th, Sunday. Hello. I don't know why I always spout off the time and date. But yeah, my point is happy Sunday, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. I am also enjoying my weekend, and I'll be enjoying it with you guys as I've got a lot of stuff to edit. I've got a lot of photos to edit. As you guys probably know from the past number of streams, I've got like maybe like 2 more days worth of Uganda that I need to edit photos from. I'm working on episode 2 of my travel series on YouTube. So it's shaping up nicely. I'm really excited with, I think probably we'll give it like 2 more days before I should be able to release that video. I've been working on episode 3 also at the same time. So I got the scripting and everything ready to go. I'm working on a couple, 2 to 3 other videos simultaneously. And this will be focused on some of the Nikon lenses that I shoot with. So it's been a while. I've been meaning to like create some nice video concepts around my favorite focal lengths, right? So 35 millimeters, that's been a real treat for me in terms of my recent foray into cinematography. I never really shot with the 35 until I started to practice a bit more film stuff. Anyways, I wanted to make a video about the 35 as well as a video on the 85 millimeter lens, because that one has been a sleeper in terms of like a sleeper lens. For wildlife photography, I never expected an 85, which is more commonly known for portraiture. I didn't expect it to become kind of like my go-to lens on my travels, both for photo and video. So anyways, I'm working on these videos behind the scenes. So yeah, I've been trying to be productive at the same time. I'm being lazy as well. I've been playing a lot of that game, Pal World, which is super addicting. So I need to maybe stop. Hey, we got Fedorevsky in the chat saying howdy. Thanks, Fed, for hopping on so early onto the stream. Same with Ayo. What's going on? Ayo says, I was never late again. Hello, Yobel. I recently made 2 recent videos, and I'll send the other one in Discord. Ooh, yeah, I did see that pop up. I haven't had a chance to watch it. We can watch it on stream now, if you'd like, or we can just do a quick little perusal, if you will. I've got a pretty... I've got a long list of videos, basically, for us to watch. There's a bunch of more Sony FX5 videos, so I figured why not continue kind of digesting this. It's been a fun learning experience for me when you're hearing people talk and like break down the FX5. Like I keep reminding people, I'm still very new to the cinematography world. My only time having experience with the cinema camera has been my Nikon ZR. So now that I'm watching these review videos about this Sony FX5, it does feel very, I don't know, cathartic's the wrong word here. I'm not good with my words, but it feels really nice, like a full loop type experience, slightly deja vu, but slightly like exciting to be watching these review videos pop up in real time about this new cinema camera, Sony FX5. And now with a bit more knowledge that I have about cinematography, a little bit more knowledge that I have about these types of cameras and what they're capable of, it's kind of fun to be watching these videos with that new perspective. And it makes me wonder how much I was missing when the Nikon ZR came out. And I was a newbie, and I didn't know any of these terminologies. I was just here to share my thoughts and show something I created with that camera, but without any of the actual knowledge behind what is cinematography. So anyways, it feels like a nice little round 2, if you will, to be watching these things with a bit more knowledge about what is cinema. But we also, I'll speak for myself, I also still have a long ways to go. So there's a lot of things that I'm still kind of taking notes and learning about. So shout out to all of you guys in the chat who've been very helpful as we've been watching these videos, explaining different concepts like the dual gain ISO. I had no idea. I've never heard that before in my life. Open gate I knew about, but then, yeah, just like random things that keep popping up about this new camera. So yeah, we're going to keep doing that. Anyways, Besides that, we might get into it on today's stream as well. We're actually going to go down a trip down memory lane. Speaking of the Nikon ZR, we're going to go back to that first shoot that I ever did with the ZR, which is when I went to the chimpanzee island, Uganda island, to make my short film, The Island of Second Chances, which is out on YouTube. I hope you guys check it out. The reason I'm doing that is, like I mentioned, as I'm trying to put together some quick little videos about the different lenses from Nikon, like the 35 and the 85. For the 35mm video, I was brainstorming, like, okay, if I make like let's call it a 2-minute video. I don't want it to be too long, less than 2 minutes. I want to just make a video in the same vein as like some of the other videos I've done recently, which are slightly more artsy in the sense of like, I'm trying to share some thoughts around different perspectives, what I like, while showing something cinematic on screen. So if I'm going to do that, it's like, okay, I've done a number of trips now with the 35mm lens, specifically the 35 f1.2. So do I make a video where as the B-roll, I'm showing some of my best captures across these trips, whatever the subject is, right? And it's like, yeah, I could do that. But then I figured, you know what? A lot of my 35mm, I shot a lot with it when I was on that chimpanzee island. So why not stick to just footage from that island? And that becomes my B-roll as I talk through why the 35mm as a focal length, and also with that 1.2 aperture, why this has been growing on me as a lens that I need to always bring. And what are the kind of like I say profound, but what are the insights I gleaned from shooting with the 35 as a more traditional wildlife photographer, with, you know, where I shoot mostly with these tele lenses. So I figured we're gonna go down a trip down memory lane. If we have some time today, I don't know when, we'll go through some of those footage because I want to start organizing and picking out the key ones. You guys know which one the key one is, obviously. It's going to be the hero shot where you have the mother chimpanzee and her baby as she's like strolling through the forest. Of course, I want to show that. But there's at least 2 or 3 other scenes where I shot with the 35 where I think it would help to structure the video as we go from one insight to the next I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense. I'm just kind of yapping out a little bit just to share with you guys a little bit behind the scenes of what I'm working on and what my thought process is. And yeah, I mean, that's the point of these streams. Quick little intro before we go even further. I should do this more often at the start of my streams. Let me introduce myself. I am Yobel. I go by YobelPrize. I am a wildlife and travel photographer, but I've also started to shift towards videography. So starting with this YouTube channel, which is about, I guess 2 years in the making now, although most of that was me traveling, but I'd say for the past 6 to 9 months, I've been focusing more time at home and trying to edit while I'm here. After YouTube, I've been also learning how to do live streaming. So welcome again. This is the 180th live stream that I've done. How crazy is that? And in tandem with that, as I mentioned at the start of this, I've also started to take film and cinematography more seriously. So I made my very first short film end of last year, and I'm trying to make more types of these like short film concepts as we go, whether it's from my travels or even just from sitting at home for YouTube. So that's kind of been my journey. Welcome, guys. Ayo says, I recently, what's this I'm hearing? Yobel learning slangs like yapping. I do know about yapping, man. Who taught that to me? There's another creator, Ikidis on Twitch. I think she said the word yap before. I was like, oh yeah, that's what I do. So yeah, we learn these words. Oh, one quick thing. I don't know if it's working or not. It's been a while since I've tried the vertical live stream on YouTube. It's an option that popped up recently. However, I don't actually know. Yeah. Basically, at the time, I think it was in a beta version. So when I click on dual stream, it would just kind of chop off how my stream looks on the mobile. Actually, oh yeah, speaking of, I can actually see how it looks now. So I wonder, I attempted to turn it on because I do want to test out doing like the mobile stream in addition, like a vertical stream in addition to the landscape. However, I think the YouTube version is still a little bit wonky because it's just like taking a random cropping from my video. so it's not necessarily the best viewing experience. Can I change it somehow? Let's see. I don't think I can. Hold on, bear with me, guys. I'm just gonna be playing around with this. So right now, I think there is a vertical version of my live stream playing on YouTube simultaneously with the landscape. And I know I could fix this by just doing a direct vertical stream from OBS. But the thing is, I was doing that before, and it was a bit frustrating because that meant I had 2 live streams running at the same time. So then if someone happens to want to watch my typical landscape view, they might accidentally click on the vertical one and vice versa. So it seemed a little bit too cannibalistic in that sense. But now I don't know how to turn it off. Okay, it doesn't matter, I guess. It's part of the same stream, so we'll just leave it running. Cool. All right. So with all of that out of the way, Ayo sent over a video. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to put on my headphones now. So I'll be anti-Rapunzel and I'll put my hair up. Yeah. Oh, I did get a haircut over the weekend, so I feel nice and fresh. It gets annoying once the side hair grows out a bit too long, because it's like an Asian thing. The hair just like sticks out like prickly porcupine, and it doesn't look that great. And also it's still freaking summertime in Dubai, so it's way too hot out. All right. Ooh, and I can hear my music playing as well. All right, we're ready for this. Let me start off with... Let's start off with the video from Ayo. Let's pull this open. And then let me share my screen. Oh, speaking of random stuff happening, I just saw my cat. Oh, here he comes. Look at that. Look at the good boy. What a good boy he is. Making his biscuits. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kimbap to the stream. I just fed him. I gave him a bonus food, actually. I already fed him. I gave him more because he was begging. Oh man, have you guys seen the movie The Odyssey yet? Obviously, there's like there's like a meme going around social media of Robert Pattinson saying one of the key lines from the video, from the movie, where he's like, someone get these beggars out of here. I should use that on my cats, because this guy right here begs nonstop for food after food after food, but we love him, so what can you do? Good boy. And I just saw my other cat pop in. Wow, we got full house today. Happy Sunday, everyone. We're gonna have that. I think that's a good sign. It means that we'll have a wonderful stream. We're gonna get a lot of shit done. A lot of good photos, videos. We're gonna be editing away, huh? Ayo says, I was trying to do like a cinematic view for the second video, but YouTube debunks my 720 to 480. Ayo says, I heard Tom Holland was in the movie. Yeah, he was pretty good. I'm not like the biggest fan of Tom Holland, or like, I don't mean that in a negative way. I think he's pretty fun to watch, but I only know him from the Marvel stuff, really. So I guess my understanding of him is always playing like a very lighthearted, affable, goofy kid. So it was interesting to see him in a more serious tone. I thought he did pretty well. I really don't want to like spoil anything in general, so we're too raw. Yo, I tried to book last minute tickets to watch The Odyssey again. I saw it in IMAX. It was amazing. I tried to book last night to watch it with a friend, and fully booked. Even at 2:30 a.m. There were 2 showings available, 11 p.m. and 2:30 a.m. Both of them were fully booked. It's like, holy crap. So, what can you do? It's popular. So I figure we'll do like deep dives on that movie once we won't get accused of spoiling things, because there's been enough time. If you haven't seen it by the time we talk about it, that's on you, okay? That's on you, brother. Okay, my cats are hanging out. Look at them calming down. So this is Kimbap. He's a good boy. Yes, he is. Good boy. And we got Nala. Oh, you know what? I was going to replace... I have this random, it's like one of those little dusters, but I have to put my other cat lamp. I have a little night light that I should put there again. It's been a while. And of course, we got the beautiful Nala hanging out with us. So yeah, all right. So with that, we're gonna be streaming. We're gonna have fun. Let's start with Ayo's video. So you mentioned you had to downscale it, or it got compressed to a 480p. Cool, cool. Or let's see what happens from that. Sometimes you just need to chill. Hashtag 4K. Hashtag chill. Hashtag edits. All right, let's check it out. Ooh, I already like the sound mixing, the sound design. What a cute... Is that a Pomeranian? Peaceful. Yo, thank you for sharing. I think that's very, very peaceful. You said, do you have a Pomeranian? Yeah, that was cute. Bold, I say bold. Excellent choice, in my opinion, that you're shooting like this. You know, it's like a nice little... Oh, hey, Nala's come over here. It's a nice silhouette. Nala, be careful. Don't bother your brother. If you're staying here, stay here. Ugh. Give me a second. When Nala sits on my lap, my leg starts to fall asleep just because the angle I need to keep her from falling. So if she's gonna stay here, I have to like have my leg up. All right, Nala, don't complain. If you want to be here, you got to be here. I think it's a bold choice in that you're shooting against the sun, right? So you're obviously getting this like backlighting, and you know, to me, I tend to appreciate silhouettes quite a bit. Although again, you've got that super harsh light here. So my only feedback, I guess I would give, and just keep all of these with a grain of salt. But I wonder if you shoot at sunrise. Also, if you shoot at sunrise or sunset, there's also more of a story there, right? Just by virtue of seeing a sunrise and a sunset, it kind of like automatically, for your average viewer, you're thinking either the start to your day or the end. And those like bookends feel a bit more naturally like a story, or it brings more thoughts and emotion to the moment. Like people fill in the gaps, right, when they see a sunrise and sunset with their own memories, their own thoughts. So that helps to like draw you into a story, in my opinion, depending on what you see there. Now, if you're shooting in sunrise, sunset, obviously the downside is you have lower light, or you have less light coming in. So how do you compensate? In some ways, I actually think that's fine, right? Because like, it's okay, because really you're not showing your face here. It's meant to be a silhouette. So even if all of this becomes like pitch black because you're shooting in like low light, that's fine, because then all of a sudden the story becomes the sunrise or the sunset or whatever you see in the sky in the back, you know, the background. But yeah, no, I think I like this a lot. I like how the simplicity of this, right? You just play some really soothing music. Good job on all the sound effects. That's something I need to learn more of, is like how to be good at like mixing sound. So good job on the, you know, mixing in some of the sound effects that I think I heard throughout, or at least it was a good balance to it. Anything else to say? I'm like trying to be super analytical over a very, very short video, but no, good job, man. I like this. Like you said, sometimes you just need to chill. And I think this kind of vibe I appreciate a lot more and more these days, because when you think about what kind of hello, thank you for subscribing on YouTube, Yuga, or is it Uga? Thank you very much. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Yo, we're getting very close to hitting 10,000 subscribers. We are very, very close. I think I'm at like 9,900 and either 80 something, or maybe, if you know, knock on wood, maybe we're at 90 something. So happy days. We're almost there. So nothing will happen once we hit 10K, but it'll feel nice. So anyways, Ayo, thanks for sharing this. I think this is great. Good on you for doing it. I like these kind of slow, I guess there's a concept on YouTube called slow TV, and I've been appreciating that as well as a concept, especially like with the current trend of, you know, TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Shorts, where it's meant to be like for short attention spans, very, very fast edits, punchy cuts, things like that. Nothing wrong with it. You know, it's a vibe. But it's good to also balance it out with these like slower moments where you're not meant to move on quickly. You're just supposed to take a deep breath, if you will. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of that on my own YouTube channel as well. I did a bit of those like slow TV, where once I get a collection of wildlife footage from one of my trips that I've covered already, I try to then stitch it all together, combine it into like one long video with some cinematic, soothing soundtracks, and usually slow motion footage of the wildlife. And it's just meant to be like, hey, put this on. Actually, I have it playing on my TV behind me as we speak, right? So this is just something I like to do these days, where I have a playlist on my YouTube channel. And again, it's like usually at least an hour long each. And it just plays some of the, like, for instance, I think I can tell from looking at my camera at my TV, I think that's from India when I went to, which national park? Not Ranthambore. I'm spacing on the, Jim Corbett National Park. So yeah, these are just like slow motion footage when I was filming tigers or deer or monkeys or whatever else, like, you know, pops in in the frame. And then I just put it all together, soundtrack and slow motion. But yeah, slow TV, I guess. And I do want to do more of that kind of style of content, because it's, I mean, I have hours of footage and it's just like a vibe. So thanks again, AO. I appreciate it. But yeah, okay, let's, we got a lot of videos to cover, and we've got a lot of photos to edit. So where do we start? I've got, like I mentioned, we got a bunch of Sony FX5 videos to cover. AO says, I think you've already watched it also. Yeah, I think we're caught up now. But yeah, thanks again for sending it across. All right. What videos do we got? I mentioned we got some Sony FX5 videos to watch.
Much like
I like this guy's deadpan humor. What's his name? Camera Conspiracies. Yeah, I like his deadpan humor. So he came out with one, Sony FX5, new king, but they made some huge mistakes. Interesting. Okay. Then we got Sony FX5 New York City. And this is from Andy To. I think I've seen his footage from Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's like, I could be mixing him up actually with another Asian guy. But there's some guy, I thought his name was Andy To on Instagram, who would do all these really cool videos, I think shot on his iPhone and stuff like that. So anyways, he did one on New York City. I've been in this mood for like consuming a lot of New York City vibe videos. Maybe I want to try to move there at some point. That's why. Then we got this video from Lee Zavitz. Why you should not buy the Sony FX5. You're kind of getting a trend here of the types of video I might be popping up. Well, I guess 2 out of the 3. I've seen a lot of videos glazing the Sony FX5, which is like by, you know, it's well earned. So from everything I'm saying, you know, it's got some really cool specs and stuff like that. So I don't feel like I need to necessarily watch more videos that are just talking about how amazing it is. I think that's been settled in terms of what it can do. So I am more curious to hear the other side of things, right? So what are some of the things that maybe it missed the mark on, or, you know, whatever else that hopefully I'll, you know, get some insights from. Then we got a random video about some dude who created a store in Dubai. I just randomly saw it pop up, and I'm like, yo, that's where I live.
This video.
How to shoot a scene in 5 steps from In-Depth Cine. So again, I always want to learn. Then we got a Peter McKinnon video. Did he do a Sony video? I don't think I've seen one. I guess he's a Canon guy. Instagram is killing photography. All right. We've seen so many of these types of videos. I'm curious if there's a new angle with this, but it is 1 day ago. So then we got from Alter Cine, unemployed to world-class cinematographer, Hoyt van Hoytema. I didn't know this guy was unemployed in the past, but I appreciate these underdog stories in general. And of course, this dude is a beast, right? My understanding is he's the one who did a few of Christopher Nolan's films. I think at least it was Interstellar and the latest, The Odyssey.
Christopher Nolan.
Speaking of which, we got a Christopher Nolan video, closest pick. So, you know, just hearing his insights or whatever he wants to say, you know, feed it to me. We want to learn from the genius of Christopher Nolan. Then we got our shout out to Fedorevsky over here. So Fedorevsky in the chats posted a new video called Boardwalk. I think you said this was with the Spectra film, or I don't know if you're still testing out the Spectra film for your color grading. But either way, some footage from his travels with the Nikon ZR. Then we've got our boy, Luke Forsyth. I really like his content. He said the FX5 is incredible. I've never been less excited. Very, very catchy title there. I respect it. And then the last one I've got opened up here is a short film called Lure, the full short film. And I'm trying to think. I think we saw the behind the scenes of this guy's video breaking it down. If I'm not mistaken, this dude is like super young. I think he's like in university. Yeah, or maybe he's still not. He says based off of real Norfolk folklore. Jesus, real Norfolk folklore. This short film was my final year project at the University of Sussex. So we saw his earlier video breaking down how he, God, what was the video about? I think it was something about why sketching or illustrating or storyboarding is so important to his workflow. And the behind the scenes footage made this look really epic. So yeah, I figure we can watch this as well if we're allowed to. It's 23 minutes. We'll pause throughout, so hopefully I don't get struck with anything copyright wise. AO says also, I'm recently doing a video that's highly inspired by you. Hells yeah, I like to hear that. Thank you for sharing. I'm excited to see it. Fez says, yeah, it's still Spectrafilm. This is the first video from the recent Spain trip. Gotcha. All right. So we got plenty of stuff. Meanwhile, what are we going to work on? I mentioned there's two things we want to cover. One is continuing my photo edits. And then two is coming back to my Chimpanzee Island footage. So I mentioned I'm trying to make like, probably it's going to be less than 2 minutes. Maybe let's call it a minute and a half based on the current script that I've got. And it's just meant to be my insights around the 35mm lens. Because if you're not new to the channel, you'll know I've been growing very fascinated and perhaps fond even of the 35mm focal length and the specific lens itself, the one that I have, the 35mm f1.2. Do I have it? Oh yeah. It's the one that's pointing at Kimbap as we speak. So this lens right here is the 35 lens. Yes, good boy. Looking clean, Kimbap. Good boy. So, as part of that, I wanted to just use some of the B-roll that I captured from my from that one particular project where we were on this island. So you can imagine, like, as I voice over, I'll be spewing a lot of nonsense about why I love the 35, my perspective as a wildlife photographer, how the 35 opened up a kind of an interesting sweet spot of cinematography, maybe. I don't know what the right word I'll use here. But I do feel like it's a very good sweet spot for capturing stories for film, because you get what? You get the subject, obviously, and with that 35, it's just enough compression, I guess, to separate out the subject from the background, especially when you're shooting with like a 1.2 aperture lens. So then you're getting this clean separation of the subject from the background in a way that it almost, in my opinion, can mimic a tele lens, right? It's the effect you would get when you're shooting with an 85 or higher, right? A 200. So you're able to get a portraiture almost of your subject. Whereas if you go wider, the problem I always run into, if you're shooting at like 24 or 20 millimeters or whatever, the subject gets lost in the shot. Right? You don't get that nice separation. It becomes more blended into the environment. So you lose a bit of that kind of isolated or like targeting of a specific subject. So with the 35, it's just at the cusp of like, you actually can get some good separation, but it's not so tight that you lose the perspective itself. You'll lose the story of like what's going on. You lose the place, right? If I'm shooting even with like a 50mm or definitely 85, the problem usually becomes either I have to step back quite a bit, or you end up with a tight portrait of just the face or whatever of the subject. You don't get to see where is this chimp. Like, now with the 35, you're getting like, okay, the chimp is taking up a decent amount of the framing, but we have just enough space to still almost have equally the environment telling the story. So now we can see like, oh, she's walking through this jungle, through like a dirt path, but you can also see how dense the foliage is, and then coming out into the clearing. All of that is just a little bit more obvious, which is, I think, a vital part of the storytelling. So anyways, these are things that I've only learned recently, and I've learned thanks in large part to shooting with a 35mm perspective. So I figured, you know what? It's not that I always have insights to share with the world, but these are my growing pains. These are my learnings and lessons that I figured if I have a YouTube channel, and if there are things that I want to share, that's probably the kinds of stuff that I should share. So yeah, all of that said, I want to kind of go through some of the footage from this so that we can start to kind of put that story together. So that's one. The other one, give me a second. Bloop, bloop, bloop. There's some other footage here. So this would be like part 1 to the video where I talk about that perspective, what it lets me do. But then we've got 2 more kind of chapters, I guess. I think the second chapter, or like where I switch the perspective, it's going to be the shots of Dr. Rukundo with the chimps in the enclosure. Where are you? Yeah, like these kind of shots where I want to talk about, again, I shot all of this with the 35mm lens, right? So I need to still color grade. I guess I need to recolor grade this, but I should have the graded footage somewhere in my project, so I'll just copy it over. But basically we have the shots of Dr. Rukundo interacting with at least one of these chimps. So to me, this is also another good example of why I think the 35 has been pretty standout as I've been learning more about, I guess, like from a cinematography perspective. Because now it's like wide enough that you get both subjects. They play equal roles. And again, same thing, you can see the environment, so it's not lost on you that this is not inside of like some clinic building. We're like out in the field, right? But then also that 35 allows me to also punch in. So you can see when I basically get closer to the shot, and I'm able to, again, especially with that 1.2 aperture, I can get that clean separation of the hands. And then, you know, the grass is not that far, right? Like the ground is just, you know, a couple feet away, but you're getting that nice blurred effect. That's more thanks to the aperture, I guess. But even, you know, the 35 helps a little bit as well. So I'll show some of this footage while I'm yapping about whatever insights I have there. And then the final shot to the story will be this stuff. You know, I had some really cool shots where you can see there's one of the staff members at the front of the boat, and I think he was pulling up the anchor, and it's such a cool shot because, like, you know, again, being in a tight, I say tight in the sense like it was a very cramped boat, but I'm able to get this capture where it's definitely super wide, but the subject isn't distorted. It's very much towering across the shot, and you have like these equal parts where the sky and the water plays a part in terms of the composition. So I think that's, again, another example of why I think the 35 has been great. So these 3, and then also I think including some of these shots of Dr. Rukundo when I was interviewing him from the boat, where when you're filming with the 35, you're also able to, again, make the environment part of the interview, right? So yes, he's talking, obviously he's the focus, but I'm able to now find different angles where whatever's happening in the background, whatever's happening behind him, I'm able to get it nicely in frame without worrying about being too tight, where Rukundo is not in the shot anymore, or it's too wide, so you can't actually get a clean capture of the chimps in the water. So yeah, anyways, that's something where I just want to kind of review this. If we have time, or if I get bored of editing my photos, I just needed to refresh myself on some of the footage I captured from this trip. These, again, I did some work behind the scenes, so these are all the ones that are 35mm, shot with a 35mm lens. So now I just gotta pick each one, maybe recolor grade them, get them ready to go. So then when I'm not streaming, I'll be working on these videos to be posted on my YouTube channel. So yeah, we're keeping busy. All right, Nala has come back yet again. Yes, good girl. You want to say something? What does that mean? Is that happy Sunday? I think it means happy Sunday. Okay, hold on. Like I said, she makes my leg fall asleep if I found one angle that works is if I put one knee up, then all is well. But I don't know how comfortable it is for her. Ah, but look at you. Hey, look, you're on camera. Good girl. Yes, yes. All right. So where do we start? Well, we got Fedorevsky in the chat, so maybe we'll start with your video. If I can find it. Hold on. Boom, boom, boom. Where was the video? Boardwalk. Here it is. Okay, so while we watch this, as per usual, I'll be doing my edits. So where do we end off on Thursday? This was the last photo we edited, right? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So I remember we basically, I had two different versions of this shot, right? I had the colored version, and then we had the black and white. And I had, when I ended the last stream, I had it on this photo and I walked away. And I will say, on a big monitor screen, or a bigger monitor screen, and from a distance when I was coming back to my desk, I will say this black and white really shined. I was taking a liking to this black and white version. So now I'm like feeling like, okay, should I stick to that? But the one with color, I also really like, because in my opinion, I prefer color photos. I don't necessarily do a lot of black and white shots. So I'm a bit kind of, I'm stuck, okay? I don't actually know which one will be the one that becomes like the official version of this shot. But all I know is the black and white, I kind of did it thinking it would be a fun practice. But I walked away coming back and going like, oh shit, okay, this black and white feels interesting. So I'd love your thoughts, anyone, if you have opinions on what you prefer. But I mean, both will see the light of day. It's not like someone's put a deadline or like some gun to my head about what I can and cannot share. So Fed says, yeah, I remember we were talking about black and white and watching the trailer for Werewolf last time. Oh yeah, that was a nice way to kind of combine the two. Peter says, hey, joining for a second, only to say hi. Well, thank you for that precious second. I appreciate that very much. Hopefully you have a wonderful Sunday, and hope to see you back whenever you feel like it. All right, so this is where we are, right? So what's the next photo I want to start editing? Oh, wait, hold on, let's recap. Man, also this photo has grown on me as well. I think this capture... I think, Fed, you mentioned you preferred the close-up one. It must be this one. Wait, where's the other one? Sometimes my photos go missing. It's kind of annoying. There it is. Okay, so this was my original framing, or in terms of like where I cropped to kind of tell the story. I was kind of happy with how this edit worked as well. And then I was testing out different compositions as well as different aspect ratios. And I think, Fed, you mentioned you preferred probably this one where it's a little bit more cropped in. Hold on. Yeah, probably like one of these. But either way, we got some options here. I mentioned I think I prefer this one just because I liked seeing the mountaintop. Unfortunately, though, when you do that, the subjects are much tinier in frame. But I think I'm also okay with that because this is not meant to be a tight shot, right? This is meant to kind of show a distance and show the landscape. So I'm kind of torn even with this one, which one's the best framing. I kind of like this full screen version as well, because again, by doing full screen 16:9, it also does show the depth where you see how far away we are from the subject. So it kind of plays a role, which I don't mind. It's kind of like going to IMAX to watch the Odyssey versus going to the normal theater. Man, I can't believe, is there really only 40 IMAX theaters in the world? That is kind of crazy. Fed says, yeah, that was the other photo I liked when you only saw some of the trees. Gotcha. So I respect your opinion. So I still got this, and then we'll see which one I end up with. And then this shot was really fun to play with as well. This is when we got closer and we started turning the corner on the mountain road. So it is a continuation of this same shot here. And same thing, I ended up really liking this full screen 16:9 perspective, because now there's like a story in 3 parts, if you will. You've got the characters in focus here, especially this kid on the left. Girl on the right, slightly blurry, but that's why I added a bit of texture and grain to the shot, so it's a little bit less noticeable. Then you had 2 figures off in the distance, kind of showing that this is not just 2 kids or, you know, 2 or 3 kids having fun. It looks like this is something all the kids are chipping in and having to help their parents, or at least the mothers of the household. It looks like they're all doing this for a living. So it does add to a question of like, what are we watching? What are they doing? What's this work that they have to do? And of course, then on the bottom right, we've got the mothers. We got one in the back, and then we got 2 here. And you can also see one of the kids happens to be in focus. So to me, it's like we're getting a glimpse into what is life like in this part of the world. And it's never always about glitz and glamour. It is like why I love traveling is it kind of shows you different flavors of what it means to you know, live. Like, you know, are we like, what is considered like posh living? What, you know, what do we have that we take for granted and all that kind of stuff. So it helps put things in perspective, and it also shows you oftentimes just like what a community means in different places. Like here I am living in Dubai. I grew up in the States. You know, I was in some of the major cities. Oftentimes you end up becoming so siloed, living in like an apartment unit or whatever, and you barely meet your neighbors. You barely have to like interact with the people around you. And it's a very much a first world, you know, first world city life problems or culture. But then when you go to other parts of the world like this, it's very much a communal lifestyle. Everyone chips in, everyone helps each other. And I feel a little bit jealous of that. I think there's something really romanticized, but in a, like, for obvious reasons. Like there's something about the community that becomes lacking as we progress societally, I guess. Anyways, philosophy aside. Fed says, yeah, I liked many of these crops. It's hard to pick only one. Yeah, me too. Sometimes I just need a fresh perspective. Oh yeah, because this is the first one. So then these were 2 other croppings that I did just to kind of get a sense. So the first cropping here, I cropped out the ladies on the bottom right. So now it's a bit more balanced between the 3 here and then the 2 on the left. So then it also makes the kid much more focused. And so obviously you can make out more details there. So there you go. And then the other framing, this was quite different, was, yeah, balancing it between those 3 and then the ladies on the right. And this one, while like initially, this doesn't like, I don't gravitate towards this shot as much as even this one or the full screen. Like I feel like these 2, like my eyes go exactly where it needs to, and it makes sense, right? So I'm just kind of leaning into my expectation of like where your eye should go. Versus this one, it kind of breaks from that, where, because the people in focus are on the edges, right? You see the little boy, he's in focus, but now he's kind of off to the edge of the frame. And then the little baby on the right is also slightly in focus, but all the way on the right. So if my eye is meant to go initially starting from the center, it's just a big gap. And then I finally can see the subjects on the corners. So like from one perspective, I would say this is kind of not necessarily the right framing, or it's going against the grain. You're kind of forcing a perspective, I guess, or forcing a little bit more work from the viewer. But the question then is like, is that extra bit of work worth it? Because there's more of a story there. I don't have the answer. I'm just like bullshitting here. I'm just saying a bunch of things. But that, you know, that's like the thought process behind this one. And that's why I kept it. We'll see which one kind of survives. And of course, then we did one more series, and that's the final shots, the ones I was showing before. As we're passing, this one I had the little girl in focus, and then the kid was blurry. So I kind of cropped it in a vertical format. And yeah, this is my best attempt at kind of balancing out the image. And then we did the black and white version. So there you go. We're fully caught up. So jumping ahead, let's go back to the next photo we need to edit. And then, what is the next photo? All right, we can edit this one. I think the kid's just, I'm not gonna work. I say this every time. I'm not gonna spend too much time editing this one. We'll see how long it takes me. I really enjoyed when the out of focus area is, okay, hold on. Did I miss something? No. Fed said, I really enjoy when the out of focus areas are still not too out of focus, so you can still see what it is, like in this photo. I didn't read your comment in time, so I'm assuming it's one of these guys. Then he said, when you crop it in that far, it looks more like something you might see in a film. That's true. That's true. And I think I did intentionally do the letterboxing. So, like for example, these two, or no, this one is in the 2.4:1 ratio, and then this was more full screen. So, but I did say I've been enjoying kind of cropping into those letterbox styles. So you'll probably see a lot more of that from me going forward. Okay, so we're gonna edit both of these quickly, and let's go ahead and watch a bit from Fedoresky. So this is from your trip to Spain, the Torre Vieja Boardwalk. All right, let's do it. I'll probably speed through some parts, Fed, like usual. So I'll probably watch a bit, jump ahead, things like that. But feel free to type in the chat if you have anything you want to share about the whatever you captured as well. Daytor in the chat says, "Hey Yobel, hello chat." Hello Daytor, thanks for being here. I appreciate your presence over on the Twitch side. All right, and happy Sunday. I usually don't stream on Sundays. I'm trying to change that up, so you'll see me more often. My goal is to start streaming Sundays through Thursdays. Tomorrow, TBD. I should be streaming tomorrow, but I also have a few things I have to take care of. We'll see. All right. How's the volume on that? You know, one thing I need to figure out is I need to figure out the settings in OBS so that if I start speaking, the other audio, what's the term for that? Where the other audio kind of gets muffled or dampens a bit. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna blame this on my ADHD, but let me show you guys some of the photos that I captured recently. So I mentioned I'm gonna make a quick video about the 85mm lens, and so in preparation for that, I was reviewing any of the shots that I have with the 85 that I think is worth putting into the video, and I came up with a few, and I'm really proud of them. So hold on, let's some of these you will recognize because we edited a lot of these on stream, but this is like the series of photos that I captured with an 85 and then after I edited. So we've got this cool close-up of the eagle. And then I have some with the subject, you know, I think I have a few of these types of shots, and the value of this, again, for me with the 85 is that with an 85, you can actually capture interactions, right? Like when you think of a wildlife photography traditionally shooting with a 400 or a tele lens, that's really good for cropping into the subject from a distance, but usually it's not really capturing a lot of like interaction between a foreground, midground, and background. With an 85, that's way more within its wheelhouse, where I'm able to grab exactly that, right? You get a bit of a story of subject shooting close to us, but then, you know, putting the focus right into the middle of the subject, but then also maintaining the scale and the background of like the mountains to add more. So that's another reason I like the 85. Then we've got that camel shot that I showed before, close-ups. So to me, I'm trying to show that the 85, it's one of the most versatile lenses in my arsenal at the very least, where it allows me to capture anything from landscape to portraits to moments in between, action moments. Yeah. So, you know, like all these kinds of portraits. It's honestly, I can use it for so many different environments. So these are, you look forward to some of these photos showing up in one of my next videos here. But yeah. And man, all of these I edited with Dehancer afterwards. And so even these shots look so clean after I put it through Dehancer. And then we got the flying squirrel, the Izo Momonga. And then these are from the recent trip to Uganda. So then these ones are the ones that we had been editing last week, I believe, from the recent chimps. And this one, the one I showed before. So anyways, quick little, another detour, but those are some of the shots that you'll see in some of my upcoming videos. Fed says, yeah, it's pretty long, so feel free to skip forward, etc. All right, let's do this. right. I'm always a big fan. Fed, you should do this more often. I do this as much as I can when I'm like city, especially in parts of Europe, Mediterranean stuff, like just filming street cats. That should be its own genre on YouTube, but yeah. I like the sound choice as well. It's very catchy. I was about to start humming to it. Yo, we got music by Tokyo Rift. Nice. We got Captain Ellen Boggin. Captain Ellen Boggin says, hi, let me go over to YouTube. Hells yeah. Well, listen, watch me wherever you feel like. But thanks for being here. Fed says that's a cat shelter close to our house. Okay, okay. I do like the color grading as well, man. I tend to appreciate like a slightly faded look and feel. So I feel like in the shadows and the blacks, I like the kind of faded look to this as well. Careful now. Fed says, I'm really enjoying the Spectra films. You get this look very easily right off the bat. Oh, nice, nice. Oh, I need to send a message to Dehancer. I want to see if I can, like... What do you think the odds are? I need to figure out how to craft the email. What is the best way to see if they would work with me in a... I mean, the best case would be, like, sponsorship, right? This video is sponsored by Dehancer. Come on. I want to get to that point. Katzenell and Bogan asks, do you ever edit in Photoshop? I do not. The few times I edit in Photoshop is when I need to do more like photo manipulation stuff. In the past, I would use it before Lightroom started getting really good at it. If I needed to like use like a clone stamp feature, remove something from the background, stuff like that, then I would bring the photo into Photoshop and then use their clone stamp tool. Or when I needed to expand my image. So like if let's say if I want to make a photo for my YouTube channel, like on like a what do you call it, banner image, or on my website, or whatever the reason could be, but the cropping doesn't work, then I'll bring it into Photoshop where I can expand the background until it fits to my liking. And I found that Photoshop's really good for that. Otherwise, like I don't really edit from there just because this is a user error, or it's a user problem. I just don't know how to navigate Photoshop very well. It's like a foreign language to me. So Fed says, again, everything is shot with the 18 to 140 millimeter Nikon DX lens, the only lens I brought with me on this trip. Yeah, smart choice on that as well, man. I think it helps you to like force yourself in terms of what kinds of captures you can get. So I like this framing so far. I really wanted to grab this at 16:5, but unfortunately I think the kit is just a little too tall to fit in my framing, so I think we're going to keep this at 2.4:1. And I can't like perfectly put the kid in like the exact, like, let's say third part. Although that's, you know, it's like more a rule for whatever. So I'm trying to balance out the kid on the left with the trees on the tree trunk on the right. So I think this is roughly good enough. Oh yeah, I think Katzenell and Boggin, you had mentioned this tool, the adaptive color. So let's see how it turns out. It's not bad as a base, right? Can we leverage this then? Let's see. I haven't really used the adaptive color much. This might be the first one I'm doing in a while. But usually I want to go through all my presets. Actually, here, before I do the adaptive color, let's just see how it looks when I put my things on top of it for now. Okay, let's try the adaptive color. Katzenell and Boggin says, I want to learn to add white borders to photos or stacking 3 photos on each other and making seamless carousels. Or stacking 3. Oh, you know, hey, Katzenell and Boggin, here, let me show you that right now. I just did it recently. I did it in DaVinci very recently, and you can do this in Canva. So give me a second. I'm gonna open up. Here, hold on. Give me a second. In the meantime, I'll put it on my cat sleeping. My other cat's more lively. I'll show you 2 different ways. Canva is, it's so intuitive. It's like definitely one of the easiest ways. I wouldn't be able to tell you how much it costs. It's one of those things where I bought it a while ago, or I have whatever subscription to it, and I use it every day. So let's see. Here, let me put on music while we figure this out. Damn it, Fed. That song is catchy. Stuck in my head. Okay. Here we go. So let me bring this over here so you can see. And then let's do within DaVinci. Oh no, I'll do it from DaVinci. I'll do it from my folder. Bam, bam. Okay. So Katzenell and Boggin, I'm going to show you 2 things. Katzenell and Boggin says, I want to... Sorry, true Photoshop is quite scary. Yeah. Fed says, yeah, people feel that way about grading video in DaVinci Resolve. Also, when new to it, it all seems very overwhelming to people. Photoshop is the same for photos when new to it. Yeah. Listen, like if I were to start from scratch from today, I think I feel more confident that I could learn Photoshop. But back then, trying to understand the concept of layers was like, it was so foreign to me. I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. Whereas like Lightroom was so easy. It's just a bunch of sliders. And that's it. Okay, so Katzenell and Boggin. In Canva, you can see, for example, I have one of these like templates opened up. And so I created the aspect ratio here to be 3:4, right? And so they have this option where you can resize. Basically, you create a custom size, or you can create a template like a canvas, hence the name Canva, and you choose the aspect ratio, right? So they give you options based on social media, so they make it easy. And say, oh, is this for Instagram? Is this for this? And if you click on it, you'll see the already kind of baked in resolution and the pixel size you need to map onto something, right? So this one, I think I did custom, but this is just basically a 3:4, which is the largest format you can post photos within Instagram. So that was the purpose of this Canva project. And so within it, it has this option where you can find, and this is where it makes your life easy, because instead of you having to manually figure out how do I frame each image, they just have this option within their elements. I think it's called, is it called frame? Let's see. Yeah, frames. So they have built-in frames. And you can tell because the image, obviously, it shows like this default cloud landscape thing. But what it is like, it just tells you like how many images are built into one canvas. So for example, this one here, I think is similar to the one you see here. And what it means is like, it's got 3 images that you can double click into, you can start adding it in. And it literally is a drag and drop. So you can see some of the examples I was playing with. There's one canvas that had 5 carousel or like 5 images baked in. So you can see when I was playing around, you can see this on my Instagram because I posted some of this onto Instagram. But like when I was playing around with like, okay, what if I want 4? If I want to stack 4 images, then I just found within the frames here, I found the one that had 4 frames. It was as simple as that, right? So for my example, you know, and for your example, you wanted the one that's 3 frames. So imagine if I have a clean canvas, I would just go into these elements, I search for the frames, I try to find the right one, which would be like, let's see. Oh yeah, this one here. No, 3 photos. Let's see if this works. And it's pretty intuitive. So you can just type in random stuff and it does a pretty good job of trying to find you what you want. It's not finding me what I want though. Let's see. 3. I was trying to do this live to show you how amazingly simple this is, but oh, grids. Oh, my bad. I was in the wrong section. That's why. So instead of typing frames, I should browse the category by grids. So once I go to grids, then it's got all of these, like, you know, the typical kind of montage style stuff. So then here, I would choose the 3 stack, right? So then I just click on it. It just drags it over automatically. Then I just go into my images. So I go to my uploads. And so you can see all my photos. Let's say if I go into Uganda. So then here, I've already dragged and dropped a lot of my photos into Canva. So it's all like residing inside of here. So then if I click on images, it just brings it into my canvas. And then if I drag, if I just move the photo around, it automatically recognizes when I'm hovering over one of these grids. And then it just plops it in. So let's say if I wanted to put that in, let's say if I want to put this somewhere, then I could drag it in wherever I feel like. And then let's just throw in one last photo to, you know, tie this up. Let's say even on a portrait, right? Because then I put it in here and obviously now it's zoomed in. Actually, whoops. I think I'll do. And then yeah, if I double click, you can see all I have to do is just slide it around to get the right framing. I can zoom in if I need to, whatever. Like, you know, it's pretty bog standard. But yeah, this allows me to then just kind of play around with the images until it's to my liking. So let's say if usually, not that I would actually, this is not something I'm actually trying to use or create. But if I were to do something like this, where it's like, okay, I want a close-up portrait of the face in the center, and then I want 2 that are a bit more landscapey, you know, on top and bottom. So then I would use this. If I want it to be a bit more balanced, maybe I zoom in a bit more. And then, yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's super simple tool. Katsanel and Boggin asked, can you remove the white borders? Yeah, of course. I'll show you in a second. Let me just quickly see here. Fed says Photoshop is the same for photos when new to it. Katsanel and Boggin says, Adobe needs to catch up. Things don't have to be as difficult as they are right now. I think you can do this in Adobe as well. One of those Adobe software, I think you can do exactly what Canva does. So if you already have a Creative Cloud subscription, I'm assuming you can use that. I just don't know the name of it. I like Canva. Fed says, for my thumbnails, I use Photoscape X Pro. It's another simplified, easy to use photo editor. I don't edit a lot of photos, so it's perfect for my user. I use Canva for making my thumbnails as well, by the way. So I use it for inspiration, and then I just create my thumbnails from here. Okay, so you asked, can you remove the white border? Yeah, it's super simple. Let's see how simple it is. There are 2 things you can do, right? Option 1 is, okay, I'm just creating a new canvas. So this is completely empty and the page is white. So what I can do is I can change the background color. So I just click on that thing that says background color and you choose whatever color you want. Let's say you just want pitch black, or, you know, like, and you can choose the RGB, whatever specific color scheme you need. But let's say I just want a black. So then technically the same thing, if I copy this over into here, it's the same image, but now maybe it's a little bit easier to the eyes because the black is blending in more nicely. So technically, instead of doing the white version, we do have a black version, and in my opinion, it looks much cleaner. But let's say you want to completely remove it. I'll just use the white one to make it more obvious. You open this up, and there's something, it says stroke style. So when I click on that, it's just giving me the, oh wait, is this the right thing? Okay, I might have to play around until we get the answer. I thought this was it, but I don't think this is actually it. Yeah, okay, so this probably is not the right answer. Let's see, is there a different way? Spacing, grid spacing. There we go. Okay, we found it. All right. So in real time, we found the solution. It's pretty intuitive. This is what I mean. Photoshop's crazy because you've got all the panels on the left and the right, on the top, about like what to do to manipulate your image. Here, it's all basically on this top row, and there's not many options. And then you have options on the left, but it makes sense structurally. So here, I just kind of hovered until I found the option. It said spacing, and there's a grid spacing. So now, if I go all the way to 100, obviously it's creating big borders. If I go all the way to 0, those borders have completely disappeared. And it's all uniform, so everything's balanced. There's no weirdness of like you have to readjust and, you know, is the image in the center actually centered anymore, or is it shifted? It's all aligned. So super, super simple. No border, 3 full-on images. There you go. Fed says Photoscape is also like this, super intuitive to use compared to Photoshop. Captain Ellen Boggins says I do, but I basically only use Lightroom and Premiere Pro, and then rest never get touched. Yeah, check it out. I'm assuming Adobe has, I don't have the name off the top of my bat. I don't have the name on my mind, but I know one of Adobe's tools allows you to do this type of like graphic design stuff like that. But I'm just a big fan of Canva. You know, it's super popular, a lot of options. Like I said, if I need to work on a thumbnail, for example, let's say I go to where do I go? I use this a lot for Magic Media. It's got this really useful tool. I use this for my live stream thumbnails all the time, but if you click on your image, it's got a background remover. It's under the paid version. So I wonder if there is a free version of Canva. Well, let's say here, if it recognizes a subject, it will mask away the rest. And it's pretty damn good. It does a pretty good job of actually identifying the subject, like it did here, right? And so that's just from a click. Just from a single click, it showed me where the subject is. So then I can overlay this over another image if I want to, or whatever else I want to do. So useful tool. All right, I hope that was helpful, Katzen, Nellen, Boggin. In Photoscape, you can dive deeper to find more advanced stuff, but you don't have to. And if you do, those menus are also intuitive. Katzen, Nellen, Boggin says After Effects, maybe. Yeah. No, it's not After Effects. It's one of those. It's got a weird name to it. Is it called? I don't know what it's called. Fed says I haven't tried Canva, but it looks great. It's fantastic. It is. Let's see if I can show you another example of what you can do with it. It's got a lot of plugins as well. It's got a lot of AI built in, so you can generate images and whatever else you need. I was trying to find some. Okay. Templates. So for example, it's got all these user created templates. So in case you needed like some inspiration, you can just find it here. So let's say YouTube thumbnail. Well, I'm in an aspect ratio that doesn't really fit for it. But you can see like there's all this content built in. So you can use this as a starting point. And then of course you can replace the images or whatever else to make it your own. But yeah, it's like pretty damn good, you know? Okay, so I wish I had a affiliate link for this, because here I am promoting the shit out of it. I'm not making any money off of it. So I hope in lieu of making money off this, I hope you like my live stream. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the notification bell. You're already subscribed to me, but keep on subscribing, you know, all that fun stuff. Cool. All right. So where were we? I was supposed to finish editing this photo. I took a bit of a detour. It's Adobe Express. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, Adobe Express. All right, let's keep watching this and edit this photo. Okay, I like the framing here. Decently focused, slightly hazy, but I think we can work with this. So we've tried the adaptive color. Let's just slap on one of my presets to start. Now, I did say I'm going to quickly edit this photo, so let's see if I stick to that, or if I'm going to end up spending so much time trying to figure out how to get this photo looking good. This one has a nice... It's nice, but let's keep looking. My assumption is I actually want this photo to be a bit more brightly lit to kind of match the mood. You know, it's like a little girl waving, a little girl, boy, I don't know, little kid waving at the camera at us. So I'd prefer a more brightly lit edit to kind of match the positive mood. Okay, so the ones that spoke to me. Maybe we'll go with this one. Fed says that song was probably extra catchy to you because I had used another version of it in the last video we watched on Thursday. Okay. Yeah, so it's like it's got enough time to kind of what's the word? Not saturate, but yeah. You get what I'm saying. I think I like this faded style. So, okay, here's our basis. Let me make a quick little tweaks here and there. There's a part of her feet that I probably want to remove from the masking. I like these jazzy tones. Alexander, what's happening? We got Alexander in the chat says, is this Lightroom? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm doing a bit of, we like to do a bit of editing on this stream. So I'm starting off with some photo edits. I might hop over to DaVinci later to wrap up some video edits as well. But yeah, for now, I'm just trying to finish all these photos that I captured from my trip to Uganda a few months ago at this point, back in March, April. So these are just normal shots that I took of like passing moments when we were driving to our next destination. And then after these road shots, we'll be heading into guerrilla territory. So then hopefully today's stream, we should, you know, depending on how fast I work, we might be able to get into editing some of the guerrilla shots, which obviously very exciting. So I don't know why I'm spending so much time editing this one after I said I wanted to do a quick edit, but I just felt a little bit bothered by this masking not being too good there. This is probably good enough. So we'll just bring that back. Fest is not quite as good as Magic Mask 2. Yeah. Okay. Initially, I thought I was going to put some light from the top left, but looking at the light bouncing off the kid's head, it does feel like it's more natural that the light should be coming from the right side, which is kind of why I went with the current presets, because it felt more brightly lit over here. So I think that is in line with my assumption. Okay, let me manipulate this a bit more, see if we get something. I like this mix of sound, like that jazzy tone, and then are those cicadas? I never know. And a bit of that sound of the city life. Slow vibes. Okay, I just wanted light coming in, but not necessarily cutting into the tree there. So this way I can bump up the lighting a bit without it blasting into the tree trunk. There we go. I think I prefer this. And then obviously we got this like blurriness in the foreground from the car. It kind of adds to this, so I might just keep it, you know. Is it ideal? Probably not, but yeah, we'll keep it. My only question is, do I want to darken the right side of the image? Let's see. We could probably darken it just a bit, not too much. Okay. I like this. This is turning out better than expected, which is always a good thing, I think. Alright, now let's go ahead and edit this within Dehancer. Fed says, yeah, you always hear the cicadas there. What is it about cicadas? Are they the things that like they mate or something with like every decade? Something happens, right? Or am I mixing that up with some Bible story? I thought there was something where like after several years of hibernation or like doing nothing, they just come out of nowhere and, you know, infest everything. Okay. Hear me out. I might break what I said earlier. I think I kind of like this. Well, it's not really a dark tone. I don't mind when it's super dark like this, because obviously it makes the light, like the rimming, you know, what do you call it? Like the well, I guess it's not really a hair light, but like at least on the silhouettes, you get this nice lighting effect, right? And it also accentuates the sunlight coming in over there. So in some ways, I don't think I mind if it ends up being a bit dark, but it does kind of break from what I said earlier, where I wanted a bit more like happy mood tones, something more positive. And when it is dark like this, it just naturally makes you think something more moody. So maybe we'll find an edit that's somewhere in the middle of it. So, okay, I just want to look at this. We're going to start from scratch, and then let's see if we can make a good look. The colors look really good on your shot, Fed, by the way. Or I really do. I feel like it looks nice and poppy. I don't know. It looks clean. Fed says they're loud, but yeah, 2 to 5 years is common, but some have very long cycles too. In North American periodical cicadas can be 13 to 17 years. Jesus. Big fan of the soundtrack so far, man. Is this all from that same artist, the Tokyo Rift or something? Okay, I think I got it. I think this might be the final look. I went a bit warm on the far right side and then kept it a little bit cooler, not too much, but a little bit more on that side. I think I'm going to keep the halation effect just because it's nice and fun. And then I might, just to correct for a bit of that halation and the temperature changes, I'll just make sure the kid's teeth aren't like super red. Otherwise, I think this should be the final look. All right, going once, going twice. Okay. So what did I end up doing? Did I end up darkening the image quite a bit? Let's find out. Because I did say I wanted a brighter mood. Now, you know what? I think I did okay. I think I stuck to my guns. The way I edited within Lightroom, it is definitely very bright. I like it this way. This one darkens parts of it, but I also brightened up other parts. So in some ways, we're back to balance. But yeah, I think I just want to fix the kid's teeth now because I did go a little bit too crazy with the edits. Oh, nice. I can recognize the kid. Look at how good Lightroom has gotten. So even with all this noisy grain I applied, obviously it's recognizing the person. And then the cool thing is when it recognizes, then it makes my life easier because then I can just say, create a mask for me of just the teeth. And that's the only thing I want to change. So boom. And it does a decent job given how grainy it is because I did add a lot of noise. But it does a fairly good job here, it looks like. So now I can remove the warmth to the teeth. There's a few different options here that I use when it comes to trying to make the teeth look whiter. I think one option is you just change the temperature. But the problem is when you change the temperature like that, you can see it can start looking blue, which is obviously not the effect you want. So another option I can do is sometimes I think I just remove the contrast. So then by removing the contrast, it does end up like flattening out the image, or I don't know the right terminology, but it does end up making the teeth look whiter, as you can see here. Or you can also reduce the saturation because, you know, by definition, it's like basically removing the colors, let's say. So kind of turning into a black and white. But then I find that result doesn't always look too good either. It gets like a grayish look. So then ultimately, I think I end up playing with a bunch of them all at once until I get the desired effect. Is there anything else I play with? Sometimes dehaze? No. It's a bit too much. So for this one, I probably will just, you know, start dabbling with all these guys at once. I'll reduce the contrast. And it's such a tiny pixel that, like, honestly, it doesn't matter that much. I just wanted to make slight changes because it did feel a bit too warm initially. So let's see if we can fix a few things. I don't want it too bright because then it gets too much attention drawn to it. Good enough. Good enough on a tiny, tiny pixel. I think we're happy with the results. Hells yeah. That wasn't too long, right? I mean, it was pretty long, but, you know. Fed says, yeah, I'm using pushed film emulation to get those colors. Kodak Portra. Okay, I think I've used the Portra one a bit on Dehancer. Fed says, of course, shooting red raw any helps a lot to make that work with the color depth. And we're back to the cats and the first music track again to make that melody really buggy for days now. I like it. It won't bug me if it's good, if it's catchy. Fed says, very similar to the new tools in DaVinci as well, where you can do the same stuff. Okay. Yo, we got King in the King Cruck in the chat saying, Jobel using some classic lenses with that bloom highlights. I've been a huge fan. Since I've been doing this, I've been a huge fan of like the bloom effect and also the halation quite a bit. Call it what you will. I guess maybe since I didn't grow up in the era of film cameras, I'm like making up for lost time. So, but yeah, good to see you, King. Happy Sunday. Glad to see you on here, joining us as we do a bit of edits. I am finished with this photo, yeah? Hey, this turned out much better than I honestly expected that it would. The reason for that is because if you look at the original photo, it was pretty flat. I mean, it's a raw photo, whatever you want to say, but it was like flat because I was shooting through the windshield and it was kind of blurry because of the windshield plus the motion, right? I was shooting this at 1/800th of a second, but it's still like in a moving vehicle, a moving bumpy vehicle, and you're trying to capture a quick moment as it passes by. So I had zero hopes for this, honestly. And you can see this is the original shot with no edits, and you can see how soft those parts are. And then the kit is slightly sharp enough. I probably put a bit of denoise on this initially. And then we were able to bring back a lot of the lighting and the colors. And honestly, I kind of like this as is, but I enjoy putting it through Dehancer. So then we put it through Dehancer, and now we've got like a more distinct kind of a film look. And I think I'm pretty happy with it. One thing I might change, maybe there's a little bit too much green on the kid's face, but you know what? I should just move on, shouldn't I? Otherwise, we'll be stuck on this for too long. Let me see if I can just do a very... We're going to see if we can do this in like less than 40 seconds, okay? Let me just put a bit of a linear gradient, and then we'll cool it down a bit. Okay, I think this is a bit more to my liking. I think. Let's see. Could I do that with just the tint? I guess I could do the tint change. Just slightly cooler. Okay, we're happy campers. There you go. Cool shot, I think. And let me change this one to purple. All right, we move on. Cat footage for the win. Okay, this one should be a fast edit. Fed says, yeah, DaVinci also has a tool for picking out face features like that for video. Interesting. I've only seen the AI mask, or like the magic mask. I haven't seen one just for face. I should look into that. All right. Shout out to Fedorevsky. Thanks for letting us enjoy your epic footage, hopping into your travels to Spain, España. Okay, what's next? What's next? I wanted to watch, I think we saw a Peter McKinnon one. We got some Sony FX5 video. Okay, let's watch this one. No, wait, hold on. Sony FX5. Now, we got a few lined up that seem to be somewhat negative towards the Sony FX5, just to kind of balance things out a bit. But I also want to start with Peter McKinnon, because it's Peter McKinnon. What does he got to say? Instagram is killing photography. Very clickbaity. Clickbaity, Mr. McKinnon. King's asking, how many FX5 did you order to Fed? Fed says, I need at least 8 in case I will do camera test. Nice. All right. Yeah, I wonder if Peter McKinnon would make a video. Does he make videos on other camera bodies? Because he's like Canon partner or something, right? I don't know.
With my friend Peter Andrew recently, I was talking with my friend Peter Andrew recently, who's an amazing photographer. We actually feature a ton of his work here in the cafe. His work is all over Toronto. It's in the homes of celebrities. It's on billboards. It's everywhere. He's a real photographer. And that comment right there, he's a real photographer. I often try to dissect that and come up with the meaning of what does it mean to be a real photographer, and am I not a real photographer? Yeah,
what does that actually mean? What is a real photographer? I mean, there's like, you can be a real photographer in the sense that you get paid for it. So in a sense, it's more real because people pay for your photos. So I can feel a bit more, I don't know, professional, I guess. But I feel like photography is just, anyone can be a photographer, right? I don't know. I don't think we need to gatekeep the word necessarily.
It doesn't compare. I don't care what anyone says. Pour over is king. Oh, do you know how many of these I have every single day? You know, like those memes you see on the internet. Some people do meth. So I'm not mad about an extra cup of coffee, especially if it's a pour over made by my friend Christian. I gotta drink them slower though. I feel like I really just hammer it
This man knows his coffee though. I would never question his judgment on that.
back, and I gotta appreciate the love and craft that goes into it. Much like the love and craft that goes into printing photos. You just see myself out. I don't know if you can also see what's behind me, but another one of my shots is actually printed onto the wallpaper. What was cool about this one is if you actually zoom in, like this vantage point of the train tracks, that is actually what it felt like and looked like where I was standing when I took this photo. I remember when Peter brought this print in to hang it, he was extremely stressed out because the piece of, this isn't even glass, this is plexi, because we couldn't get a piece of art glass cut big enough to fit this photo, which is wild. But it's very cool to see your friend's work in your own spot. It's cool to see your own work in your own spot. It's cool to see work from anyone that you know in any spot. Fun fact, the Prime Minister of Canada actually had his photo taken in front of this very picture in this shop. His security detail had to fully sweep my studio. I should have filmed that. I missed on that one.
I remember going to a photographer's studio when I was younger with my half brother.
All right, we get a little bit of that podcasting mood. I still am critical of this podcast studio setup. I stand by my guns. I haven't heard anyone push back in a way of like, you're completely wrong about what he did, his choices here of the composition or like the lighting stuff. It is, you know, the top-notch way to do things. I haven't heard that. Like even looking at this shot right here, it's bothering me. Is it an OCD thing? I'm not sure, but like, why is it not center aligned? Why is there so much space behind Peter McKinnon here? And yet his guest is, you know, basically leaning all the way against the edge of this frame. That bothers me. It bothers me. Fez says, yeah, this is not his first Instagram is killing photography videos. Yeah, I know he's done that. Not just him. I know a lot of big photographers did that back in the day. After TikTok started to blow up, I think, around that time. I made a YouTube video on this myself. One of my Behind the Lens episodes where I talked about how like there was a growing trend of people who were pushing back, I think rightfully in many ways, but you know, everything here is subjective, but I think some people were pushing back for the wrong reasons, but there was a lot of pushback against this trend of social media going towards like video mode and vertical framing instead of like the typical, you know, the photo sharing concept. People want fast moving stuff. They want the quick, you know, 3-second, 5-second viral videos and stuff. So it's like, how do you compete in a world of TikTok when you're a traditional photographer or you want to share your beautiful frame and grab someone's attention long enough that they stick around, especially if the algorithm doesn't really push that in the future. But I just think that's like partially inevitable. These are, you know, you got to get with the times, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, you just have to, you know, it's like we're seeing rapid evolution basically in our lifetimes. And so you either adapt or you don't. So I was never one of those that was like I miss the old, you know, the old days of social media or whatever. But then again, I was never as successful as people like Peter McKinnon in the old days, where he might probably see a big shift in terms of engagement and how people, engage with his work. So anyways, that's just like one thing I remember noticing. I just preferred, like, I just want to learn whatever tools for every new change that's happening. I guess this shifts to AI conversation as well. If he had just a bit more coffee, he's probably seeing hidden meanings in the printed photos. Yeah, this shot is annoyingly wrong. I cannot stress it enough. You know what? I stress it so much. I'm going to bring this over. Let me pause my editing. I mentioned I'm recording my edits these days, but okay. Okay, full screen. Look at that. What the heck's going on here, man? Like, he's a cameraman. He does photo and video. I don't know if he hires someone to do this. I feel like Peter does it himself. He gives me the sense that he does everything himself, I think. Actually, I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from. But my main gripe is like, this is your studio, man. You can make the quick adjustments. Like even this tablecloth, it feels like it's more towards the guest. So it should be pushed more to the left so it's centered, so that the center line in the freaking tablecloth is in the center of the shot. If you're going to have a symmetrical shot like this in many ways, like with the table and everything, I feel like you need to. You don't have to, but every time something is asymmetrical, I feel like it becomes more glaringly obvious. So this tablecloth is one of those. The positioning of Peter and his guest, like all of that space right behind him, and then nothing over here. So yeah, those things bother me. I don't mind the background necessarily. I like the aesthetic of it. I don't mind these bookshelves. It's got a lot of color, personality. It's his photos across the, whatever. It's got a nice consistent vibe to it. So all of this I'm not necessarily against. It's just the framing, like simple things that shouldn't be too difficult to fix. Like all it required is shift your camera over a little bit, or I don't know, like, move the tablecloth just ever so slightly. Tell your guest, or I don't know, like, it's bothering me, is what I'm saying. Fed says there must be some practical reason why he set up his shot like this. Maybe there is something in the way of the tripod on the ground. Hells no. He spent how much money building this from the ground up? You cannot possibly tell me they were working around space. He hired someone. We watched the video. He hired someone to intentionally design every aspect of his studio. So you cannot tell me that this camera for this shot is stuck behind like a dead end enclosure and they had no other choice but to, shoot it this way. Get out of here with that. No way. Fed says it's crooked as well. Yeah, maybe. That the tablecloth looks crooked. My eyes aren't that good at like determining those things. But if it was me though, I would be literally taking a screen grab of this. If this was like my studio, or if I was working for Peter, I'd take a screen grab of this. I would like get a grid, like get all the grid layout, and I'd literally meticulously make sure that the camera was set up so that everything was pitch perfect, symmetrical. At least the table and the tablecloth. But that's my little bit of OCD. And then also there's this annoying little, it looks like one of those, what do you call this thing on the right here? It looks like those little ties, the twisties that you put on like chip bags and whatever else. It's like before you hit record, why don't you take a look at what's being recorded? This doesn't have to be here. I don't mind when there's like trash, or if it's like cluttered, but this was clearly trash that was left behind and it didn't have to be there. Okay, enough of that. Any other critiques from looking at this? I mean, his color grading I love. I like his style. It's very like, I don't know what you call this, like this kind of more black and like the warm and black tones, I guess. And then the other colors seem to be a bit more muted. So that's cool. All right, let's keep watching.
He does like web design for this guy. We went into like one of those like.
Fed says, and then we mentioned I like this framing a lot. This is my favorite one of his, like the 3 composition thing. Like this one looks amazing. Lighting is on point. He's got that cool little lamp thing. I don't know, ceiling fixture to light up the background there. There's a lot of depth because the bookshelves are at an angle, and it kind of, you got that quote unquote leading lines, I guess, concept. He's separated nicely from the bookshelf, so it's not like he blends in with the bookshelf too much. Yeah, this shot right here is so cool. Like if I could have stuff like this, I'd be happy. I just wish he could replicate this for the other 2 frames. Fez says, come on, wide angles look extra wrong if crooked. He probably has a crate of 400 pounds of Central African coffee on the floor. I am surprised he doesn't have like something to do with coffee somewhere on the walls, because I feel like that's so. Look, I'm not like the biggest. I don't know all of Peter McKinnon's lore, but I feel like I knew him always as like the coffee guy. Fed, King says, who are those nerds on your screen? Yeah. Fed says, I blame his coffee addiction. He's not able to slow down and frame a shot anymore. Too hopped up. I wouldn't go that far. Who knows? Like Classic. I said, he's just like, he's so big. He's so popular. I'm assuming he doesn't care anymore. Like he doesn't have to care about these things maybe. Or maybe he does hire someone and he's like outsources it. And like, I don't know.
studios in Toronto that have like the thin hallways and the really like thin wooden boards for the flooring.
Yeah.
And like you exit from the hallway into these studios, and then they were huge inside. And this dude had prints all over the ways and the really like thin wooden boards for the flooring.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned this as well. I think this one looks slightly cleaner this time. I think in the past there was more stuff that kind of bothered me. This one, the main reason it bothers me is just that the background is so bland. It's so boring. It's so dark and nothing compared to the exciting stuff behind Peter. And the way I, stated it last time, I feel like this adds so much personality to him. But then now he's like, if I'm running a podcast, I feel like the job of a podcast host is to make your guest, put the guest in the best light, unless you're there to debate them or like, shit on them. So then it's like, I would rather put the guest here. If you had no other choice, you can't do anything about the background or anything, put the guest in the best light. Because that also, I feel like strategically that's best for you anyways. Because then if your guest looks good, they're more likely to share the interview, the video with their followers. So then that's more views on your video. So even just from like a, purely logical standpoint, whatever, I would still say like put the guest in the best light.
Wooden boards for the flooring.
Yeah.
And like
But instead we get like this pitch black. Yeah, in the past I remember you could see like the his air conditioning unit or some other random wall fixtures and stuff. Fed says I love my coffee. He looks really caffeined up lately, all over the place. I'm not the one to judge people on their looks. I have no idea. I wouldn't be able to tell anyways. I'm kind of hyped up on coffee all the time, if we're being honest. Fed says though it should be mentioned I only ever watch him here on the streams. I like Peter McKinnon, man. I would love to learn. He just, he's a pioneer for a reason, which is why this bothers me so much. Because it's like, these should be somewhat easy fixes.
You exit from the hallway into these studios, and then they were huge inside. And this dude had prints all over the wall and stuff that he was working on. And there was rolls of, it looked like your place. And there was this huge printer. And I remember thinking at that moment, like this is like, he's made it. He is a professional photographer. And that image always stuck with me. And I think as long as I've been a photographer, I've always thought like printing it's a huge part of photography that most people overlook.
In my personal, I hate the word, but journey as a photographer, it's been a life-changing experience learning the skill of printing. And even before I learned how to print, just having my work printed, I recommend it to everybody. But you can be a great photographer that only shoots for...
I really want to print out my photos. I've never done it myself. You know what I mean? Like I got it printed, just small random stuff, but like I would love to just get some of my best photos blasted, big ass, and then figure out how I can put it up in an exhibit somewhere. I have no idea how the process works for that. There are some big exhibits in Dubai, but I feel like I need to first figure out the theme to my photos, and then I'll do that. I'll put this on my to-do list. Let me write it down.
Instagram, who cares? Like if you're causing emotion to people and they're looking at it on a small screen, it doesn't make you any less of a photographer than if you're just...
That's a great point. I agree with that. What's interesting about that is if Instagram's gone and you're not printing anything,
you don't have to do it yourself? Yeah, that's true. But I would love to learn, it'd be interesting. I would love to have my own print shop style thing. That feels like it's one of those parts of the journey as you're more of a professional photographer. It's a nice to have though, but like it would be nice to see how to print your own photos.
Your work.
This guy's so right.
Like it was your whole. You think about everyone stores everything on the cloud. Like all my photos are in Lightroom, right? If they just turned off my access to Lightroom right now, and I'm not fully up to date and backing everything up,
I know
I've just lost years of my catalog.
I don't even like thinking about it. It's like almost like...
No, it's awful.
It's like as scary as being buried alive.
yeah, it's like drowning.
I know.
It
Just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But you're right. I always think back on something you said to me, like right around the time I think you decided to like switch over to film. And you're like, I was in Hawaii and I'm walking along the beach and I have my kid in one arm and then my camera in the other, and I like whip around and I take this photo and then you sent me the photo and it was amazing.
Yeah, that's such a good photo.
And you're like, it just feels too easy.
Yeah. I remember that. I still have that.
And that photo was great.
It's saved. It's still on the gram. It's in my favorites on my phone. It was with a phone.
Yeah.
Is what that was the kind. Dude, it wasn't like an R5 or right. It was my phone. Like I had my son in my arms and I was like, oh, that sun looks insane. Like bam. And I remember being in my bed, just editing it and thinking to myself, that's not fair, dude. Like it bothered me how good it looked.
Yeah.
I feel like the uniqueness and what makes photography special starts to kind of disappear and fade off when it's just so easy.
I think that's I think that's a good point. Fed says it's not especially hard. It just costs a lot of money to buy a huge printer, and you need room. Yeah. You need money. You need money to do all these fun stuff. Just to digest what Peter is saying a bit more. So he's saying it kind of angered him almost how easy it is to be a photographer these days, when you've got these super powered supercomputers in your pocket that can capture like 50 megapixel photos or whatever else. And I do agree with that quite a bit, that as technology improves, it does kind of shift how easy it can be to get like some of the best shots. Whereas in the past, you would have to really work through the technique or understand more about the art of taking that shot to understand how to get it to look good. So I totally get that, how that's kind of been degraded over time, or the knowledge gap, I guess, has shrunk over time. So then taking photos won't feel like an art form as much when it's so easy to just snap something that looks incredible. I think I can relate to that. I don't like think about it too hard, but I can understand that that's probably a trend that's only going to be amplified. One of the things that has made this super enjoyable for me is what we've been doing over the past, whatever, like 2 weeks or so. I mean, part of the reason I went into live streaming was because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into just a photographer or just a videographer or whatever else, right? I wanted to be in a position where it's just the art of creating, right? You guys can tune in and watch me struggle, or watch me easily, manhandle that photo until it looked good. The point becomes then, it's like, you guys get to be a part of that experience, and I get to share that experience and find value in it, right? And it gets captured, it's recorded, it lives on the internet until YouTube crashes. So yeah, like this live stream, even the fact that we get to like break down the edits one at a time and find some discoveries together of like, oh man, this makes this photo look great, I didn't expect that, or just the light bulb moments. That's been a huge fun part of kind of adding excitement to this journey for me, right? It's like reviving me thinking of myself as a photographer as well. But then yeah, it gives you more flavors of how to be an artist, aka creator or whatever, in the new kind of like digital space. So Fed says, of course, it feels more magical looking at photos taken back in the 70s or before old film cameras when you really needed to know your craft. Yeah, for sure. Photographers who had to know photo chemistry if they had their own darkroom. Yeah. And so in some ways, I guess what I'm saying is like, as technology improves, and if you want to continue competing in this space, I almost feel like this kind of concept of live streaming can become more and more a necessity, where it's not just you snapping the photo, it's now you showing how you snap the photo. So like, whether you do IRL streaming and you show people exactly the environment you were in when you took the photo, which is something I'm trying to do, right, with the wildlife safari live stream soon. But then also behind the computer, showing people how you then manipulate that photo into something unique. So yeah, I think live streaming should become more hand in hand with photography, in my humble opinion. Fed says photographers who had... Oh yeah, I read that. Okay, let's keep watching.
And everything looks so great.
Yeah, I feel
right?
you.
And then that's probably why the trend now is like making stuff not look great, and that's what people like.
Yeah, we were talking about that today a little bit.
Oh, it's real.
That's the movement, is to like add sort of imperfection into stuff.
I think a lot of people, we could say, are kind of over the polished. Like the polished content, the shiny packaging, the perfection, everything looks great. The curated grids, the curated feeds, the advertisements that are perfect with perfect people and perfect lighting and perfect everything. And now we're in the era of like photo dumps. They just want shots from your phone that aren't edited.
I think you're right about sort of the crustiness equating to authenticity, like the kind of like fuzziness equating to like, this is real. One of the first things we talked about is like, why do you print so much? Why do you think there's a demand for your prints? And it's a paradox for me, because I think that what people like my work for, hopefully, is that it's perfect. Like, I don't know if the image of a $2 bill would resonate, maybe it would, but I don't think it would be as palatable for people to decorate with if it was just like shot with a disposable film camera on a table. You know,
Yeah.
like I think there is something about, there's plenty of people that can do it, but it's still a skill to make something look flawless.
Now, speaking on selling prints and selling things as an artist and making money with your art and with your work, best way to do that with a website. You knew it was coming. You saw it was the perfect segue. It's a great I'm good at segues. So this video is sponsored by Squarespace, and you can make websites super easily with their all-in-one platform. I use it for my personal site, which, by the way, I need to revamp entirely, and I'm going to do that tomorrow, maybe. I'll do it this week or this month, for sure before the summer's over, at least before 2027. But they make it very easy and very fast to choose templates. Customer service is fast, 24/7. They have so many good services for photographers, for protected client areas with passwords, for galleries and places to show off your work and sell your products with online shops. That's an important one, especially if you want to start selling prints like I do. And all of these features, I'm barely scratching the surface, getting into all the things that Squarespace offers. The best way to find out is by clicking the link in my bio. And again, if you're going to do that, you can sign up for a free trial and you can save 10% off that first purchase with that code. So thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And if you don't have one already, go get that website made. It'll be done before you know it. I think if I'm scared and apprehensive at times to share my work and put stuff out into the world, others are too, 100%. You think to yourself, what if I offer all of these things for sale and no one buys them? Or no one wants to put my stuff up in a cafe or a restaurant? It doesn't feel good as an artist, but you'll never know if you don't put yourself out there. If you don't submit a photo to win an award or to be printed in a magazine, you don't get what you don't ask for. And that's always been a...
Fed says that's what it's all about, guy. Yes. He's giving me good words of encouragement here. I just need to do more outreach. I need to do more outreach. That's something I lack. I need to hire someone to be a marketer for me because I suck ass at it. But
principle that I've tried to live by. So I think with that being said, I've tried to sell prints before and it's done okay, but I shied away from it. But it's always been something that I've admired so much from the friends that I have that do it, and not just have it live on a digital grid that I try to curate as best I can, which I should stop doing because it's 2026 and we want more BTS and I understand those things. But I was in Italy, I was in Lake Como, and I took this shot and everyone loved it, and I got more DMs and comments and my own friends asking if they could have copies of it, that I thought, you know what, I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna just do like a small print run of 25 prints, keep it manageable, test the waters, and ease myself back into getting my art into the world physically. And if there's anything I can impart on you, in an age of AI where everything is trying to take away what we hold dear most, how do we infuse this world with more of the physical than the digital? This is just one mere way that I know how to do that. So print the book, print the photos, book the show, find a place that they'll let you hang 5 photos and invite all your friends. Put your art out into the world. That's what the world is missing. You.
okay.
Now, I'm sure you've heard the...
That was a nice, meaningful message. I do take it to heart that it's like, oh man, I do need to see how to put my photos more physically out there. One thing I mentioned, because like, yeah, figuring out how to print my photos, it's like, it's a lot of work and there's a lot of competition for that. So I figured it was more like, as I become more established, or let's say if our live streams, eventually we're going to like, you know, we're going to move from 10K followers on YouTube to like boom, boom, boom as we progress. At some point I wouldn't mind trying to tie in, like if people want to donate money, let's say like typical tips or whatever on a stream, but if it ties into like, oh, instead of just donating money, it can go towards like me actually providing you a print of some of my key photos, and then making it more exclusive in the sense that like, I'm not going to print more than whatever, 5 of each photo or 1 of each photo, you know, if that. So I think there's some cool stuff there, but first it requires an audience. So it requires a following. It requires me to be continually being a live streamer and make it successful. But that could be a really fun way to then tie that into like putting more of the physical prints out into the world to the people who actually care enough to watch my stream. So hopefully they would want it. But yeah, anyways. All right. What's the next video? Sony FX5, new king, but they made some huge mistakes. I mentioned I've seen some of this guy's video back during the Nikon ZR release, so I kind of like his deadpan humor. We'll see what he says.
Like a beta male, much like a beta male in a cage of monkeys, I've had to devise ways of feeding myself. I'm not respected in the community, so on launch day when a camera is released, they don't send it to Uncle K, so I have to sneak around back and review the reviews, and it's a shameful way to make a living.
I respect that, man. Damn it, but he's almost got 200,000 subscribers, and he's saying he's not getting access. Damn, that's a little bit dejecting. It's like we got a long ways to go then. Yeah. Is this guy's name Casey? I don't know.
And I'm embarrassed to even talk about it online. But FX5 has been announced. I will be reviewing the reviews now, and it's an interesting, potentially everyone killer camera. No reason to own anything else, or could there be a meeting that would suggest otherwise? All right, fellas, it's been fun watching the other companies try and dance, but they've had their moment in the sun. A little Nikon ZR, oh, nice 4-inch screen. Whoa, you blew us away. You almost matched our A7S III. We're shaking in our boots. Now it's time to bring the hammer down. Johnson, unveil it. I'm thinking we take the 4K 240 frames per second from the GoPro Mission 1 Pro. We add in the DJI sensor of the Canon C70. We add almost as big a screen as the Nikon ZR. We charge lots of money for it, and will never be forgotten in the industry. Sounds good, but maybe no one will buy our FX6, FX9, Burano, the Venice. We have to make those still somewhat viable. What should we hammer dent this thing with? We could make the camera have to reboot after every time you change any setting. It'll just shut off and restart. You'll have to load up a new MS-DOS every time it...
Fed says, you can never take anything he says fully seriously. He's very, very dedicated to his shtick. Yeah, it's almost like you're watching. Yeah, exactly. It's a shtick, yeah. But yeah, he's very much an entertainer. So I appreciate that, you know?
Oh, that's a good one, Johnson. So it'll just like be annoying to use, but on the spec sheet, that won't even show up. Okay, that's gold. Any other crippling ideas? We could make a promise that it'll shoot 4K 240 frames per second, but not give it to them for like a year and a half. By then, we'll already be in Mississippi drinking pina coladas. You know how I like empty promises. Okay, that's good. That's enough for now. Just assure me that this thing is better in every way than any other competitor. No one will ever buy the ZR, right? We have this now. ZR? No one's buying that. Who? Okay, there's a scenario. If you want 6K 60 red raw.
Hells yeah.
Half the money. Okay, sure, it matters.
Man, I filmed so much in 6K 60 frames, actually. That was like my go-to for a lot of the recent travels, I think. Yeah. Now, I do still wish that the 4K 120 would be in the full frame without cropping. Although for wildlife, that actually ended up working out pretty nicely because then I get a nice punched-in shot for some of the wildlife stuff, but yeah.
Which is our best spec. Hardly worth getting for that. So the ZR does 6K 60 raw and we're doing 5K 60 and it's less than half the cost and the screen is a 0.5 inch bigger, but it's also taller, making it appear 3 times the size.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
All right, we have a lot to get to. We're on the Nikon ZR, Canon EF 24mm 1.8.
Man, talk about committing to the shtick as well. My man needs a haircut. This might be the wildest half buzz, half whatever is going on with his hair. I like this guy more and more. He recently moved to a rural area from his place in a city, so a lot of his stuff is now about how hard it is to go from a city with lots of people to a small rural place. Oh, that's surprisingly, what would you say? Not genuine. It feels vulnerable. Yeah. Well, that's good on him. My biggest struggle, like I said, I kind of wish I lived in a city or a place where I could go outside and just like film anything and create content. In Dubai, it's just not possible. Now, I do have a plethora or have a huge backlog of footage and content, so it's on me to just sit on my ass in front of the computer and get through it. But eventually, once we're finally caught up on all my footage, I do wish I lived somewhere where it's easier to create new stuff on the fly.
For an HD, rich tone portrait, no raw, no fancy, nothing. This is what I use this camera like most of the time. So all of us spec monkeys, oh my God, it does digital raw, 16 bit. It's unnecessary, almost invisible to the human eye. But what this camera is, Sony FX5, in my opinion, it's not the A7S III upgrade that YouTube hobos wanted. It's more like a, you bought an FX6? Haha, you loser. We have a cinema cam that's much smaller and way better. For decently cheaper as well. Like, who on earth would want an FX6 now? Like, God, you're dumb. Filming your commercials. Hey, repeat the line again. Listerine makes me feel... In your stupid frickin' cinema cam heavy ass thing. No, I got a lot of notes and a lot of clips from my fellow shill monkeys. I may not be in the cage with you, but I will be taking some crumbs that you... Oh no. So let's just get out of the way that it is $4,900 US. With tax, maybe roughly $7,100 Canadian. That's a lot. $4,900 versus Nikon ZR 2200. I do 6K 60 Red RAW. You do 5K 60 Sony RAW. There's a lot of miscommunication amongst the monkeys in the cages. Some are saying the file sizes are way smaller than this. I can only trust the Asian guy with his math skills, and he said the RAW was 1.8 gigs per...
Yeah, this guy's my cup of tea. Wait, who is this Asian guy though, actually?
A lot of miscommunication amongst the monkeys in the cages. Some are saying the file sizes are way smaller than this. I can only trust the Asian guy with his math skills, and he
Who is
said
this guy?
the
I can't read. Is it like PV something? I don't know.
RAW was 1.8 gigs per second, whereas Red RAW is 3.7 in 6K 60, 5K 60. If I shot down to 4K 60, 1.7, we're somewhat equal. Sony file sizes are much smaller, and that would be much nicer. I never use the Red RAW in here. Sometimes I get curious. I'm like, oh.
Interesting. Wait, so he's filming this on the ZR. So he's another person who's saying he doesn't use Red RAW for his use case. Okay, so him and Matty. Whereas for me, I'm like, man, I'm always using that. I guess except for the live stream. YouTube hobos. Yeah. All right.
Right in there for your vlogs. It's an expensive vlog and heavy. When it comes to the actual image, like the one thing I've been asking Sony to do is give us a more filmic look. Concentrate on color science and dynamic range instead of this resolution race, and they did it. You gotta give Sony credit where it's due, where it's like, they tried what we would want in the cinema, not just some spec race 8K. CVP did a little comparison versus the FX3, Canon C50, Panasonic S1 II. If I'm looking at that, wow, why do they all look so different? Because I'm sure he did some test chart shit. He's auto white balancing without the auto. And it's like, what's the best image of that? God, like Canon looks pale. S1 II Panty Boy is red glowing. FX5 looks like the best color science. That scares me. If we're looking versus FX3, it's like the FX3 looks a bit...
FX5 looks good on what I can see here. Okay, quick pause. Let's look at this photo. Which edits do I prefer the most? I think, like this one's a very filmic look, right? It's a bit more like that artistic style. this one's a bit more natural. So if I had to guess, I'm assuming this is the one where I do Endura glossy paper. Yeah. So this one I use the Kodak Endura glossy paper, which I've found to give a bit more of a natural look to your shot, slightly darker, more natural. And I kind of like this look actually. This one's a bit more artistic. It's got a bit of a blue haze across it. This one is just a bit more natural and slightly dark, but it's growing on me as the one I should work with. So yeah, I think we'll go with this one, and then let's make some adjustments to it. Fed says the LT RAW is actually a bit too small. On the Sony cinema cameras, you have a couple of bigger RAW options. The LT flavor is very compressed. On the ZR, we want a smaller option for red RAW. On the Sony, they lack a bigger option. Okay, so it's like kind of flipped. It's a little bit flipped in terms of the needs.
Magenta, not as good. So like they've improved color to look more natural. If you look at it versus the C50, usually the tell of a cinema cam is it's less saturated and it just looks better skin tones. I think I'm seeing that with the Canon C50. It looks a little better. It looks pale, maybe less dynamic range. The highlights are already clipping even in the controlled scenario. Canon dynamic range of a unicorn. Not good, but it looks better than the Panasonic. It doesn't have that glowing red skin. So it's like, I think perhaps Sony makes you look human again and not like an alien lizard. Ko-Fi, which is how you pronounce his name in case he didn't know. A little Blackmagic for Sony. I think the Blackmagic still looks a little better, a little warmer, but like you could clearly, it's raw, a little up on the white balance marker in raw to match it. Maybe, I don't know, it would get saturatedly weird, but decent little image. Now, it's not all gummy bear salads over here. Sony had to do something to be Sony. Like,
Okay. I think this photo also turned out better than expected. Hells yeah. So I think this is probably going to be the final version. So let me copy the crop. Let's reset and just keep the crop. There we go. So now we can see kind of the progression of the shot. So this was the raw version as shot on camera. Then again, just kind of in a moving vehicle. I think I mean, I have the moment. Actually, yeah, we should do this more often. So let's say, let me bring up a folder. Where are you at? This is the beauty of the live stream. You get to see the entire behind the scenes of how I get the footage, how I got the shot, all of that. This is from, what was this? Is this from the Gorilla Trek Day? Yeah, on the way to the Gorilla. Okay. Okay, so these are the ones we've gone over already. We got that wicker basket. Then we had the dude on the back of the bike. Tourist on the back of the bike, I'm assuming. Yep. Then we had the old lady on the back of the bike as well. Banana Man. Although I think this photo we ended up not editing. It just didn't look that good. I failed on that one. This one we did take, we edited a few of these guys of Banana Man 2. Then this one we we edited before as well. Those dudes on that weird bike or car. This one, did we edit this yesterday or last time? I forget. Well, we have this cool moment, nice moment. Kid waving. And then what's next? Wait, did I edit that today? Man, I'm losing track of things. Filmed moment, okay. This is when I was just doing a bit of recording. What else happened? Okay, so this is all filming. Oh yeah, we got a panorama. Wait, do I have this somewhere? I gotta make sure to edit this. So there should be a panoramic shot that I might not have brought over to edit. Oh yeah, so we edited this one last time.
Yeah, goats or that shit?
Goats.
I'll go with it then.
All that dust. Did we edit these? I'm losing my mind. I don't remember all these moments now. I think we did. Oh yeah, we did edit these photos last time.
Nkuhaga. Mana no erizo ati natunga sete kunka nkuhaga nyemereraga. So nza kwemerera gundi murundi. Kare.
Bike.
I don't think we edited any of those. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. This is what we did last time, so we got that shot with the dude on the bike. And I didn't take a photo there, it looks like. Those are recordings. I can't, man, my brain is fried. I don't remember editing these photos, or I'm trying to remember where I left off here. Jesus. Oh yeah, okay, this rings a bell. So yeah, we did edit this photo a while back. Then we get the film version of it. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. So then this is, so we got the behind the scenes of one of the cooler shots that I took from that drive. So this is one we broke down at the start of the stream. Fed says, oh yeah, both cameras lack more options for raw size, yeah. These driving shots remind me of playing Far Cry 2, which was set in a fictional African country. I can assure you, Uganda is very, very real. I don't think I've ever played Far Cry. Yeah, I don't think I played any. I don't know how many there even is. Fed says, I drove around for hours upon hours in Jeeps like this in the game. That's pretty cool. That's cool. So yeah, this is the behind the scenes. So obviously when I make my vlog episode on this one, I'll map it up where you see the behind the scenes, and then as you see me take the shots, we'll put the best capture full screen.
Women are cracking the stone and stone leaving. Such a hard job.
Cracking the stones. Okay, where's the next moment? Oh yeah, there we go. So this is what we edited today. There we go. So here's the behind the scenes of that little kid passing by. What is it? f1.2, 1/800. I had a -1 stop of exposure and 125 ISO. So that shot was this one right here. Hells yeah. So now we get the full picture. It'll be real. I'm excited to make these videos and show you guys. It's been really fun doing this kind of POV video behind the capture and then showing the before and after in its entirety. Yeah, I think the country in the game was a mishmash of Congo, Uganda, South Africa, and other countries. They didn't want to offend one or the... Can you imagine they tried not to offend, but they end up offending everyone instead? Since the game was about warlords and war. Yeah. Okay, so that was the behind the scenes of that moment. Then what about the next one?
With the grill.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
It was grilled the veggies on the steam with the rice. Then the other options fresh beans and potato stew. Then baked vegetable casserole.
There we go. So that was with the 85mm lens. More testament to why I've been really enjoying the 85. So then, let's see that photo, and then this is the one we just edited. Here we go. So now full circle. This is the raw shot. Then this is after I edited. Oh, hold on. Raw shot. Let's get the cropping back in though. Raw shot, then we cropped it in. So this was the cropping I decided to go with. Then this is when I edited the photo within Lightroom. So I decided to go with like a bit more of a faded look. And my thought process was also, since they're all wearing red uniforms, I thought it might make sense to mute some of the other colors and make the red more prominent, let's say. So yeah, it's a bit more on the red and blackish kind of color scheme. And then here's after we put it through Dehancer. Hells yeah, I like this quite a lot. Boom, boom, boom. So before and then after. Hells yeah, we're making some good ass photos. I'm so excited. I've been really far behind as I've been doing this, but once I have enough of these under my belt, I will start to pump out a lot of these onto my Instagram as like, you know, just photos, or even just like I mentioned before, I'm working on a template of how I can show the editing process as well as the shot behind it, and then like turn that into like a repeatable content on like social media stuff. So we've got so many really good examples in my opinion. I'm really proud of some of these shots. I think they stand the test of time. I think they'll be good. So you play as a mercenary, ending up playing off both sides of the conflict against each other. It's a fun open world game with an insane fire engine. Anything can catch fire and create wildfires. They don't make them like they used to. I'm very excited for what is it? The GTA, is it Grand Theft Auto 6? Whatever the new one is that people have been waiting like a decade. I don't actually remember anything from the past Grand Theft Auto games. It's been that long. But yeah, I'm excited for that one. It's supposed to be super, super hyper realistic in terms of like the actual, does it take place in Miami, I think, for the new one? Yeah, I'm very excited for it. Although one thing that's annoyed me is like you do pre-order for GTA 6. GTA 6 says fed. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you pre-order GTA 6 and apparently they're not even giving you a physical copy of the game. So you're just, so what's the point of like spending more for a pre-order if you don't actually get anything? You're not like booking in advance a hard copy. And it doesn't make sense to say like, oh, you're pre-ordering because it'll be sold out and they can only hand out so many digital copies. Like what the heck? That doesn't even make sense. So it's like, it's just a money grab in my mind now. It's like, really? I remember GTA 4 and 5 really well. The ones before that was so long ago. Yeah, man, I love those kind of games. That's why I've been enjoying Pal World. Man, Pal World has been a fun ass time for me. I'm spending a bit too much time playing it, if I'm going to be honest, but man, is it good. Okay, what's the other photo I wanted to edit from the series? This one. Okay, I want to see if I can just copy and paste my edits onto this to save on time as well. Let's go.
You are class leading in frame rates, dynamic range, autofocus probably still, beautiful camera. But you made some things happen, like why do you have to reboot every time you switch frame rates?
Is that really
Why
a thing?
did you use the cine menu? No one likes that thing. So like, this is just, it's a professional thing. You're not auto ISOing around in your vlog. You're not doing auto shutter like a fun person would do. It's all just very controlled. I'm gonna get my shot now. Hold on, I gotta reboot my camera. We're doing 6K 60 now? Oh, we can't? 5K 60? Okay, just give me 10 seconds or so. It's gonna reboot.
But it sounds like the reboot thing, I'm assuming, could or should be like a firmware fix. So it's not the worst thing, I guess. The Red Dead Redemption games were great too. Yeah, I played a bit of that. The problem I've had is I just like lose interest over random games. It happens all the time. Assassin's Creed, you name it, like really fun games. And then all of a sudden I just have a creeping thought that enters my mind where I just say like, what's the point of this? Like, I kind of already know how this is going to end, right? Like, what's the value? Like, once that thought enters, I like almost like instantly lose all interest. So unfortunately that happened with Red Dead Redemption as well. At some point I was like, what's the point of me playing this game? And then it's just like, oh, okay. And then I stopped caring. The games where I kept interest the whole time, which is more testament to, this is where I'm like, I know this is a good game because those creeping thoughts, even if it enters, it has no impact. It's what's the one that won all the awards? Expedition 33. Oh man, that was like just start to finish. I was gripped by the story, just like the gameplay, the fight, what do you call it? Just, yeah, everything about it I just really enjoyed. I thought it was very creative. I was fully engrossed in that one. And then another game was like one of the Final Fantasy games that came out, I think like a few years ago, where it's like a different storyline. Is it like Final Fantasy 16 or I don't know what number it's on? But the storyline was also very, it was a bit more mature and fun. The whole time I was just having so much fun playing it. So there's only a few like that where I felt like I just kept my interest the whole time. Another one was the game called Dispatch. I played that recently, and it's one of those like you choose every choice you make impacts the results of the game, and it's like you're playing a dispatcher for a bunch of superheroes in like a superhero world. That was really fun, honestly, like super fun to play. And then Pal World, yeah, there we go. There's a reason Casey don't really need RAW. He shoots mostly auto and handheld for fun making these videos. Sometimes he'll shoot some birds, testing zoom lenses, or playing around with manual focus. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he does a lot of travel related stuff or like big things. So
Boot now. It's like, what the hell is that? You change anything? There's a lot of modes that turn off features you love in your different mode. Like, okay, I want DJO. Oh, whoops, you can't use it above 60 frames per second. There were so many caveats, I couldn't even keep track of them all, but there's just a lot of limitations on using everything you think you would want. DJO, active stab, oh, whoops. You can't use like RAW and active stab, so you're still Sony IBIS shooting your RAW, and it's basically bad. And so it's not great. Like Mehdi Hapoya, he did a stab test, and it was like, the active
Mehdi Hapoya. Is that how I pronounce his name?
looks pretty good, like it always did, and they have the dynamic active, but you can't shoot RAW in any of those, so you're back to certain things. And Sony has never been like amazing stay, but I find it's better than Nikon. I bought this with the 26mm lens thinking I'm gonna have like the lightest full frame vlogging setup, lighter than Micro Four Thirds, and the stay is so jerky. It sucks, man. It's not usable. So this is basically like that. It's not good. I don't know if you could even vlog with the thing. Like, I don't think...
Is Canon known for like the best stabilization then? I haven't had that issue with the Nikon or with the ZR. I mean, sometimes I wish it was much more stabler, but it's also like the way I film. I'm you know, hand holding all the time. But yeah, I haven't necessarily had a problem with the stabilization. I'm curious how it stacks up to the competition. He's just having fun joking around. He also has other channels about food and diets and stuff. I think he started out with a vegan channel, but now he's a carnivore maybe. Panasonic is known for the best stabilization. Ooh, okay. If you know what, I wish there was a world where Nikon would buy out DJI, okay? Because then it's like, you know, or even like a GoPro concept, right? Like, how do you get those types of action camera stabilization into these like mirrorless cameras and stuff? Because my God, would it not be amazing to have the stabilization of an action camera, but with the body and the sensor and everything else of your, you know, cinema cameras or whatever else.
You can do auto ISO. There's a lot that you just can't do that this, like it's a supercomputer that can make many decisions per second and you can't take advantage. You have to make all the decisions. So I don't know if you can use DJO in a lower codec with active stab, your Zeiss popping lens, you're vlogging. It's like, oh, you might have something fun there, but it's a pricey YouTube way to enter the scene. I think the screen's a pretty nice compromise from a ZR user who has the best screen in the industry, basically. It is great, but like, you are basically as wide, I think, don't quote me on that. It's just, it's more for 16:9, but like, I see this glorious screen. It is amazing, and you'll never need a monitor, whereas most of the people are saying, I still need a monitor, and now you have this big screen for no reason, but you do the tilt up and around. All right, rapid fire.
The tilt up, I do want. I love, I do miss that, like, you know, my Nikon Z9 and stuff. Just the ease of just tilting up the back monitor. I wish I had that feature for all the low light or the low angle shots I do. Used to be Olympus, but then Panasonic caught up back in the day on M43. Olympus got bought up as they were not doing well financially. Gotcha. Okay.
Are things I hate and love, and will I be buying it through my own affiliate links from prison? Because that's what happens if you do that. I hate your cine menu. We talked about that, the rebooting, that's stupid. 4K 240, amazing. Why is it not coming for like a year? That is really stupid. That's a long time. It's already in Philip Bloom's camera. It clearly works. There's nothing wrong with it. Just let them have it, you dorks. DJO only works in 800 ISO apparently. Don't quote me on that because others said they could move it with the Cine AI. Very confusing menu ISO systems. But then everyone else is saying like RAW only works up to 60 frames per second, but Philip Bloom gets 4K 240 RAW. I don't get that little monkey disagreement there in the cage. 32-bit float does not work without that XLR handle. I have it in cage. That's not how you say that. And if I plug a mic into it, that mic is now 32-bit float. You're a loser, Sony. The detachable EVF is of garbage quality. It's a 3.6 million dot thing, whereas...
I'm telling you, man, I feel like comedy is like one of the toughest things to, obviously, being a comedian is tough, for sure. It's like, to be able to figure out timing and everything, there's like so much that goes into it. I find, yeah, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is like, yo, this guy's comedic timing is on point. Good on him. Ooh, I like this grading more, but part of me is like, oh, should I just keep the same grading across all the images for like consistency? But I'm liking how this one looks more than my original. I guess we'll make two versions because I like both. All right, we're going to save both. Fez says, yeah, I missed the tilt up on the ZR. Blackmagic 6K is tilt up only, and I love tilt up. I never need to tilt to shoot myself, so I would prefer tilt up on the ZR too. Yeah. It's just much more functional. The only reason I like the screen, or like the articulating screen on the ZR and the Z6 III is because I've started going into more vlogging style. And so as a YouTuber, as doing like selfie kind of related stuff more often, that's really nice. But from a purely wildlife photography angle or just like travel captures, the tilt up is like the most functional of what I would want from the screen. And yeah, so I wish I had that feature, but it's gone. We don't got it. Okay, let me create two versions of this one. Oh shoot, it's gone. Ah, I did the wrong ordering. Damn it. That's one thing I wish Dehancer would save, actually, all of the different edits you've done for original photos. Because now, I unfortunately made the wrong choice where that was my last edit, so I can't get back to the previous style of edits. I can kind of remember, I'm pretty sure I chose this one, so I'll have to recreate some of the edits I did. I think I increased the density. What else did I do on that shot? I'm assuming I added some halation. And I think I did 65 ISO. Okay, I think this is roughly in line with the things I adjusted to the previous shot. So let's save it. There we go. It looks close enough, right? So now we got 2 different versions to go with this edit. I like both, so we'll see which one sticks. If I do a series, then it probably makes the most sense to show the warmer tone one to match with this shot and this shot. So this will feel like it's part of a series, right? So starting with this one, then as they run forward, and then we get the bike. If I'm showing them independently, I think I prefer this kind of coloring, this color grading for like an individual capture. So, but either way, we got both versions, so we're happy. We got follow over on the kick side. Thank you very much. We wait with bated breath to see what you say, what you try to sell me, Mr. Kick Viewer. But thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, let's keep watching this.
Why didn't you give us the 9 million of the A7S III? But whatever. It's cheap, and it's not cheap at all. It tilts though. Your mom tilts and she's cheap.
Wow.
You have anamorphic D-squeeze, but it turns off the autofocus and IBIS.
What?
Wow. Didn't know that cripple hammer could even IBIS. You have anamorphic D-squeeze, but it turns off the autofocus and IBIS.
What?
Wow.
Wait, did someone mention
know
that
that cripple hammer could even sneak behind the wires on that one? That's a good one, Sony. If I was still doing the slow motion street videography stuff and I was like actually filming interesting things, I didn't move to a small town where there's only husks of corn and seagulls. Yeah, this would be kind of cool to have that. That'd be fun little times over there. And it might even be worth getting. One thing I don't like about Sony is there's no really good Canon EF to Sony adapter that autofocuses great in video. From what I've seen, I was looking, some worked and then the firmware would break it, and I don't know, they just don't work, so that really sucks. But if you go all in, Sony FX5, you get some Zeiss lenses. It's like, okay, we got some pop here, filmic look, Sony autofocus out the yin yang. Zeiss lenses holding you back in that area, but whatever, you got the pop, no one will notice. When the A7S III was released, a lot of us pounced on it, and then the FX3 was announced like 2 months later, and we're like, what the hell, man? Like the cinema cam version of it, it looks so much cooler, and oh, what the hell, why'd you take our money? Now they're doing the opposite. They're releasing the FX5 first, and then maybe we get this type of sensor in the A7S IV with some cripplings, but a better menu system, easier to use, animal eye detect, EVF attached.
Fez says, yeah, I mentioned this. Okay, too much information. I guess it got lost in the ether. Elvis Costello says, ZR or FX5? What's your view? Well, thanks for the question. I am an avid Nikon shooter. I've been enjoying the ZR tremendously. I would say I would, like without even thinking about it, I would choose the ZR, but it probably comes down to more cost efficiency. The fact that I'm getting, and you're hearing a little bit from this guy, but the fact that I can shoot the things that I need to shoot when I travel for wildlife, whatever else. So getting that 6K, 4K 120 with a bit of a crop, but for wildlife, it's fine. Getting the built-in 32-bit flow audio and the red color science, super lightweight with the 4-inch screen, so I don't need like a gimbal or anything else built in, or like I don't need any accessories to just start shooting and filming my stuff. The photo capture as well, so the fact that I can switch between, like you're seeing me edit photos that I took with the ZR, so throughout this entire series, it's all shot with ZR, photo and video, right? So I have the it's not the best for photo, but that's mainly to do with the fewer buttons on the camera itself. So it's more like impractical compared to shooting with the Z6 III with the same sensor. But yeah, like the quality of the photos I'm happy with. The quality of the videos, obviously I'm happy with. So to get that for like a third of the price, or at least half, yeah, about a third of the price, right? If not more cheap. Because it sounds like to get the Sony FX5 Plus, that top handle to get the 32-bit float feature, you're spending close to, what was it, like $6,000 to $7,000, right? 6,000, let's just say, USD. So at that price, I can buy 3 Nikon ZRs, and all of a sudden, because when I travel, I usually shoot with 2 cameras. Like I'll borrow a second camera body, or I have, whatever existing cameras I have here. But I usually want to travel with 2 camera bodies, and let's say I have to pay for the cage, extra memory cards, the batteries, like the accessories do add up. So to have a base of $2,000 for the camera body and then use the savings instead of having to dish out $4,000 to $6,000 for, camera body and the top handle, I can then use that money to get 1 terabyte cards. I can use that money to, whatever else. That's a lot of money. I could use that money to pay for a trip to shoot with the camera. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just depends on your needs. If you're a professional and you make your living doing cinematography stuff, then by all means, upgrade away. It sounds like this Sony FX5 sounds super impressive on paper. Everyone's talking, there's a lot of features on it that people really, really enjoy. So I'm sure it'll withstand the test of time in that sense. The camera, but thank you for the question, Elvis. Fed says the camera has what? I just lost it. The camera has a lot of issues like that where certain modes turn on and turns off stuff. That would bother the everlasting shit out of me. If you have to start memorizing, like when you do this, because Nikon has that problem as well, but only in one area, which I'm super bothered by. It's the one we mentioned on stream before, where if I want, what's the feature? Something doesn't turn on. Oh yeah, if I want the focus peaking feature, so when I'm doing manual focus and I want to see that red lighting on what's sharp or what's in focus, if I want that within my monitor screen, I can't have my view assist turned on. So you either have to choose seeing everything in a very flat, the log format, and then you can see the focus peaking. Or if I put the view assist to see the colors and the lighting and whatever else showing up as is, it doesn't allow that function. So that's really bothersome. So like to have to remember, if you turn this on, this turns off, I'd be bothered, man. Hold on. Sorry, let me finish what else you were saying. Yo, we got Dig Photo Inspirations and we got Low Bass. Yo, thank you very much for the raid as well. Dig Photo Inspirations, thank you very much. Over on the Twitch side. Shout out to Dig Photo. Okay, I have to catch up on some stuff here real quick. Let me see. Thank you, man. And it sounds like it's coming from from Mr. Low Bass himself, from the web creative community. So thank you very much, man. It's been a while for both of you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Sunday. I usually don't stream on Sunday, but I'm trying to shift up my schedule a little bit. So hope you guys are doing well. We're just doing a chill photo editing stream here from Uganda. These are all shot with the Nikon ZR. Let me pause my recording. Oops. Yeah, this is from the ZR, but you can see some of the photos that we did end up finishing the edits for. I think they turned out quite nice. This is one of the shots here. I think this one turned out really nice as well. We got a little kid waving. Hold on, let me just catch up real quick. Thank you again, Dig Photo. Where did I leave off? Fed says, being a comedian is super easy. All you have to do is make people laugh. It's much easier to hold your shot stable when looking straight ahead on the screen, yeah. So you mentioned a lot of things turn off on the FX5. Of course, all the people who complain that the ZR doesn't have focus. Oh, sorry, I didn't read the rest of your message because that's literally what I was talking about. Of course, all the people who complain that the ZR doesn't have focus peaking in red RAW seems to gloss over it in the FX5. Wait, is that the same issue? Does the FX5 have the same issue? King says ZR all the way. It's so inconspicuous when filming outside studios, and I can easily cut footage with the Monstro, Dragon X, Gemini, and KX. KX is what? Komodo X? Okay, so the fact that it works well with the red cameras. Fed says ZR easily for me. The cost of the FX5 alone is ridiculous, and it doesn't do anything you can't do with cameras from the competition and have been able to do for a couple of years now and much cheaper. Yeah, it sounds like a nice to have upgrade if you're already in the Sony world, or like I said, if money's not a problem. But yeah, and then... Sorry, catching up. Elvis says, thank you, me too. Kenyan fan here. And do you think an update is cooking? Update for which one? You're talking about the ZR? I hope so. Like that firmware update would be a godsend. I want that focus peaking. It's kind of tough. The 4-inch screen does make it easier to see your focus point, but it's I'm not a pro in that sense. But yeah, Dig Photo says, hey, And Daytor is also saying hello. Fed says an update is reportedly cooking. It's just a matter of time, but what we will get and not is uncertain, of course. Dick says, love the camera, conspiracies. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of like watching, well, since the Sony FX5 launched a few days ago. Was it yesterday? I don't know. Oh yeah, a few days ago. It's been really fun to watch these videos and break it down. I'm learning a lot here. Driftless Filmmaker. I like the username. I'm kind of jealous I didn't have that myself. Says, dang man, I finally caught a live again. Well, thank you very much for catching the live. I'm trying to stream Sundays through Thursdays. That's kind of like my new schedule if I can hold on to it. But yeah, thanks for being here. We're just doing some chill edits, mostly focusing on photo edits. These are shot with the Nikon ZR though. So we were briefly talking about the value of the ZR. I've been happy with the results from the photo perspective of the ZR as well. As a hybrid shooter, I'm glad that the ZR maintained that functionality instead of just like going all in on video only. If I lost the ability to quickly switch to photo mode and get like clean captures, I think I'd be sad. So yeah. And Fed says, no, not the same issue, but the FX5 has a ton of these issues in different modes, but I think peaking is always on. Okay. Driftless Filmmaker says, oh yeah, Mindful Grinds here. Oh yeah. Oh, hey, what's going on? It's Mindful Grinds. I just changed my channel name. Yo, well, it's a good ass channel. Well, Mindful Grinds was good too, to be fair, but I like this new one, man. Driftless Filmmaker says, what is up, Fed? Your videos have been popping. I love your travel vids. Yeah, we've been watching it as well. So good on you, man, for your consistency and for how quickly you work. Driftless says, I just ran a Steadicam with 70 pounds. Oh, okay. It's one of those like steady gimbal stuff, right? So you had 70 pounds for 5 hours straight for an event yesterday. I am so dead. Yo, that's a good ass workout, man. Good on you on that. Okay. Well, thank you guys. And again, thank you, Dig, for the raid. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate the web creative community as well. So we've been just kind of going through these photos. I'm almost done with these road shots, which means after that, we're finally into guerrilla territory. So I'm quite excited to wrap this up. So I think I wanted to edit this photo right here, yeah? So this is technically the last road shot. And then after that, we enter the lodge. Quick shot of the landscape from the lodge, and then we're entering Gorilla. Hells yeah, just around the corner. Okay, let's start editing this one. Fed says, 4 more videos from this latest trip coming up soon. I just let people have time to watch before I post each. I have already edited and grading all of them. Nice.
Already, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe we're getting that in 2 months, just to hurt us. If you trickle down this tech into a ZVE2, then you're talking my game. Then I'd be like, okay, you know what? That's way better than this ZR. It's almost as cheap, probably. Okay, dynamic active stay, Zeiss lenses. You would have a point, but as of right now, it's a professional cinema cam, and it's not interesting to me or anyone with $17 in their wallet. I guarantee if you just go out and shoot with your regular camera, you're not gonna notice the slight dynamic range increase or anything like this. You put ZR Red Raw next to Sony, it's gonna be like, I think I prefer the Nikon and it's way cheaper. There's some bells and whistles that are fun and well done, Sony. This is not an A7S IV and it never will be, but it is of course available through my affiliate links, as is the Nikon ZR. So pretty good, not that interesting to me. If I was more important and was shooting actual things and people's lives depended on it, I might be pushing for it with some Zeiss lenses, but that's not my life. So I will be leaving.
All right, well, shout out to, you said his name's Casey. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. Again, I just saw it after the ZR announced. But I am a big fan of his deadpan humor style. And it seems like he does carry across some, insightful information, tidbits here and there. So, Driftless says, so great to catch a live, Yobel. I've been showing off your ZR footage of Mongolia with another local filmmaker friend of mine. He was pretty impressed. Yo, I appreciate that so much, more than words can describe. To be a physical evangelist, or to be able to show my content to someone physically, there's something like more real about that, it's probably just in my head, and it's like, it's not to take away from someone who supports me digitally, right? Whether it's through the comments, the likes, the reshares, all of that is like so important and means a lot. But I don't know, it's something about like imagining in the real world, having a conversation with a real human being, and then like being like, hey, have you checked out this guy's stuff? And then showing it to them. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. So to extend beyond the digital world, I guess, with your content, it's yeah, hopefully I can keep making good stuff like that, man. So thank you very much. Elvis says, one day I send you my photos you edit, raw plus the ZR plus Viltrox 85mm. Interesting. New vid up on my YouTube. Yeah. You know what? I need to promote myself more in terms of like donate to my channel kind of thing. I did mention that I was playing around with that before of like, okay, if you donate to my channel, I think it's on my Coffee link, then you can donate to then force me to edit one of your photos or something like that. So I need to do that more often. Right now, we're a small streamer. I'm just here to, I'm not doing this to make a living yet, but eventually we gotta make some money, Fed says, Casey telling the truth, yeah. Okay, so I'm editing this one. One thing I like about as I do these edits, especially from a composition side, like I said, my natural inclination is almost always to start center aligned. So like imagine putting this kid right in the center. And sometimes it has a place, but here you can kind of see the background is not necessarily weighted the same. You've got this like incline as the hill kind of lifts up towards the top of the frame here on the right. So there's a lot of weight to the image over here. Whereas on the left side, it's a lot more emptiness. So it doesn't necessarily feel too balanced. And there's a bit of a diagonal angle to the shot. So in general, I think the center composition doesn't necessarily work as well. Plus the kid is kind of pointing off to the left. So it almost does feel like you should be framing to put him on the right side of the composition and then put some space off to the left. I don't always necessarily even here follow the rule of like putting the subject directly on the rule of thirds. I don't know why. Sometimes I think I prefer when the subject is more off to the side. I don't know why. I wouldn't be able to explain if there's a reason for it, but like putting the kid right on that line, sometimes in my mind feels like it's way too close to the center, especially for a super wide angle like this, because now it feels like there's way too much empty space to the side of the kid. So I can't shake why. I would never be able to explain why. It's not really coming to me. But something about it makes me feel like I should actually put the kid a little bit more towards the right. So yeah, and then I'm just trying to see if I can compose this properly. I don't know if this is the right angle. Maybe we do 2.41. Because I'm cropping a bit too much here for my liking. So... because at this point we're cropping so much, we lose a bit of the depth. Can we balance with the tree in the right, on the left side? Maybe? I don't think this looks right. Okay, hold on. Elvis says, okay. Yes. Okay. Not feeling this one. Super wide angle. Okay, let me just run my presets over it and see if something sticks. And the problem is now we're cropping too much. So this is like beyond 100%. So yeah, I think for this, if we don't want to degrade the image too much, I might have to switch to 2.4. Or we might have to do 16 by 9. Let me just keep playing around with this image and see if there's like a better composition. It might actually be better composition this way for all we know. Or how would portrait look? Nah. What about 16 by 9? I think for some reason I feel like 16 by 9 would be too boring for this though. It's not like the most exciting shot to begin with, so I'm just trying to figure out how to spice it up. Elvis says, wow, wide lens. It wasn't too wide. This was an 85, I'm assuming I was shooting, 85mm lens. It's just that I'm doing a lot of cropping. So I've been really fascinated with doing like a wide angle framing. So I've been playing with like the 16 by 5 and the 2.4 by 1 just for fun. But the lens itself wasn't super wide. It was an 85. Okay, this is taking me too much time to figure out. Nala, careful. All right, my cat has come over here, and I'm a little nervous that she's gonna do something she shouldn't. Good girl. Good boy. Good boy. Okay. Let's watch this next video as I figure I'm having a bit of a struggle session with this shot. So I might just need to put it through some presets. Part of me thinks it could look nice to have the kid on the left side as well. Just because like the rising hill here, it does at least add that weight to the other side. Whereas on the opposite framing, we get just a lot of emptiness and like it's like awkward lighting here. This is bothering me just a bit because we get like these patches of light coming through. And so it's not like the cleanest shot. And there's nothing to counterbalance the kid on the right unless I include the tree here on the left. But again, something about this doesn't like speak well to me. And the lighting here doesn't look good. So right now, I'm thinking maybe it is best to frame him on the left side. So let's see. We'll try this. We'll try it. Fed says, I like that first shot in your second to last video from 3 days ago with the bench in the shades from the trees with the tires to Elvis. Ooh, interesting. So Elvis... You know what, Elvis, if you'd like to, you can join my Discord, and then from the Discord, you can send links to your videos and stuff. If it makes sense, we can watch them on stream here and there. We do that with Fed, for example, so we watch Fed's video. Okay, but in the meantime, let me just pop this on and let me get through my photo edits here. So this is from Andy2, and he's showing off the epic capabilities already. Is this like with the open gate sensor? Or he's blasting this, unlike the other guys. They usually do the anamorphic style. Or the letterboxing. Nala, don't do that. Stop. I think this is the guy. I think Andy2 was famous on Instagram first, if I'm not mistaken. If it's the same person I'm thinking of, his stuff on Instagram was like super sleek. He was like, you know, he got famous for a reason. Like his stuff was like polished. So it's kind of cool. If he was an Instagrammer first, it's kind of cool to see his YouTube. But maybe he was YouTube first. I don't know. Elvis says, thanks. It was my first ZR video. Well, if you'd like to pop it into the Discord or something, let me know. And then we'll check it out on stream if you would like. Guys, should I move to New York City? It seems like all the cool cats are there. All these like YouTubers, photographers, and all that. Should I move there so I can be a part of their community? You know, I'll be shameless about it. I'll be going up like messaging all of them. Can I be friends with you? Can I join you? But man, what a vibe! And New York City is a vibe as well. Look at the colors on this though. You know, these.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and action.
Ooh. Yo, this guy is just too creative, man. Wow. I'm like, that's pretty badass. So the thought process to say, okay, this is about the Sony FX5. How do I make this like compelling video? I think New York City is already a compelling subject, but then to find the right, was that a soundtrack? I don't even know what song that was, but to find the right song to map to the 5 and then capture these signs, street signs with 5 in it and transition nicely. My God, we got to watch that again. That was clean.
And action.
Hey, Roman numeral 7 days, drop it like it's hot. If this world was mine, I'd take your dreams and make them multiply.
Yo, what's up, Andy?
What's good, bro?
What's going on, man? Where you coming from now?
Cambodia.
Oh, damn. You just taking over Asia, bro.
I heard LeBron could potentially go to the Warriors.
That'd be crazy, right? LeBron, Steph, running back the Olympics.
That would.
I'll be nuts. All they need is bring playback.
Even this is like super creative. Taking mental notes here, filming this conversation, but then like switching to like different like medium or tight shots of like just different, I don't know, body parts was like, it's a choice, and I kind of like it. Instead of like doing the typical, you got to do the over the shoulder and like keep switching between them as they talk. That was I kind of like that a lot, actually.
What's going on, man? Where you coming from now?
Cambodia.
Elvis says, thanks, guys. King says, that's Luther by K. Dot. That's the name of the song. Those, and then Driftless says, those FX5 shills. I swear, millions of videos and all the folks knocking the ZR now. Are they really knocking it? I haven't seen too many. We watched, everything I've seen is what we showed, what we watched on stream. I know Matty, he wasn't like, he didn't like hardcore shit on it. He was just talking about like, oh, like with the ZR, I just don't, I'm switching because I don't like the H.265 color quality. And so apparently, I guess he doesn't shoot a lot of RAW. So like for him, the H.265 was like needed, and he didn't like the quality, let's say. I don't remember the others necessarily. Did we watch any other videos about it? We watched the Gareth Edwards one. That was really nice. I liked it quite a bit. Although I was mentioning the story, it was just really clean shots. And then if only he had more time, I would be really fascinated to see like the story he could tell from that trip. Because it was more, it felt more just like a nice way to highlight, was it Cambodia? I forget what country he was in, but it looked good. Oh, Nepal. It was Nepal. Fed says, don't you know no other small camera has ever shot RAW internally? Seems to be the takeaway from a lot of these FX5 videos, really? Well, damn, short-term memory, guys. What the heck? But so far, I'm not knocking the camera by any means. I'm really liking this video so far. Like, this is a cool way to showcase the Sony X5. It seems like he's doing it in more story mode for now. It feels more like a film, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. You just taking over Asia, bro.
I heard LeBron could potentially go to the Warriors.
That'd be crazy, right? LeBron, Steph, running back the Olympics.
That would.
I'll be nuts. All they need is bring playback, and that's it. I think I got something for you in the back.
Oh, for sure.
There you go. Where's that one from?
Sony.
Oh, nice. Another camera?
We're gonna find out. Appreciate you, bro.
No doubt, bro. See you later.
Wow, this is his studio? That's cool. I mean, it's not like the coolest, but I like how he framed this. And having it called the lab, that's nice. Interesting. So he put, oh man, he's just got the right aesthetics. So he's got his 3-monitor desk set up with the windows overlooking. I'm assuming he's from New York City, right? Man, he must make a lot of money because this is like decent amount of space for New York City, man. Fed says, yeah, Matty makes no sense. He should just shoot on a cheap Sony from 8 years ago and he can shoot all the H.265 he wants. Yeah, that comment, it did feel weird to me, for sure. Fed says, I've watched some of videos of actual professionals who seem to believe the FX5 is some kind of revolutionary camera. I mean, I don't blame them in a way since they never shoot on cameras like that. Well, in many respects, the ZR was revolutionary to me. So I guess it all depends where you are in your growth cycle or growth journey, whatever. But yeah, they just don't know because they shoot on the Sony Venice too. Okay.
Here we go.
Wait, is he allowed to do? Oh, no. Okay. I thought he was filming this with the iPhone. And I was going to say, usually with these kinds of branded videos, I think they make it a stipulation that everything has to be shot with their brand. And like even him having this A's, whatever, this baseball or whatever hat on, sometimes I feel like that becomes an issue, right? But I guess when you're big enough, it doesn't matter.
The Sony FX5. Live in the flesh.
Alright you guys, we're in for a treat today. Full transparency, this is my first time using this camera, but we're gonna put it to the test. Brand new 5K full frame stacked Exmor RS CMOS sensor. The all new Bion Z ZR2 processing engine with integrated AI processing. 15 stops of native dynamic range. Internal 16-bit linear XOCN raw recording. 5K 3.2 open gate recording in XOCN, 5K full frame recording up to 60p, 4K 120 in the XAVC codec, D-squeeze display options, triple base ISO at 800, 4000, and 12,000.
I really want to shoot with an open gate now. Just so I understand, I hear the terminology, I get what you're saying. I'm very much a practical learner. Otherwise it goes over my head. So I just want to have a camera where I can actually try out an anamorphic and play with all those D-squeeze features and see what it looks like. This shot here, I want it to be a bit punchier colors, but I'm looking through my presets and I think I really like this kind of, I think I'm going to lean into one of my presets where I just kind of highlight the red. So we'll see if I can find one. So this might end up being a darker image, but keeping with the red colors. Let's see. I don't want it to be too extreme. So I'll just do this manually probably. I just want to see what I've got. Probably do it almost to this angle, but a little bit dialed back. Okay. Driftless says, I think the future argument is RAW versus H.265 really. I mean, the FX5 is nice, but is 2.5x nicer than the ZR. I hope Nikon drops that 2.0 soon, so they put a stop to the Sony hype. Yeah, I guess for a YouTuber, I'm kind of in a weird bucket because, like, obviously I'm trying to be more and more a YouTuber, but then the content that I'm posting tends to be from my travels, where I want the most cinematic captures. So I do want to shoot in RAW almost always. But then if I get to a point where I'm just doing stuff in my studio or like talking selfie vlogs, I can understand why RAW would be a bit overkill. Fed says, no, these guys I'm talking about shoot Hollywood films and they have no clue what is happening with mirrorless type cameras, so they see the FX5 and feel it's close enough in a small package. Okay. And they don't care about price because they just rent and they're not the ones paying. I see. Driftless says, yeah, the hybrid or smaller frame mirrorless world is a world apart from cinema. Fed says, I kind of fail to see how it's even 2.5x nicer. What is it? What does it do that's so nice? FX5 has tons of issues, more than ZR had on launch. Yeah, it was kind of funny that they said, well, there was one feature, but I was like, oh, it'll come in a future firmware update. And even Casey joked about that. It's like, that feels like something some businesses do. And then they never, you know, it's like they leave like a, what do you call it? Like a dangling, they put some piece of candy in front of you and then they never actually deliver. Having sold my A7S III and also I filmed on FX6 and 3, the autofocus is at least a generation ahead of Nikon. Interesting. Yeah, the autofocus, I wonder if Nikon will ever fully catch up, or is it always like, I don't know how that technology works. So I'm a fan of the autofocus, but I've always heard people who shoot with Sony, they really love it. So Fed says, yeah, for shooting birds and wildlife, you notice a difference in some autofocus areas. Autofocus is not available in anamorphic D-squeeze. Yeah. Okay, let's keep watching.
There's a new dual gain mode that provides 16 stops of dynamic range. Using false color looking at the shadows, you gain a stop when you select dual gain mode. That's a game changer. All new 3.5-inch 16:9 4-axis multi-angle LCD. I have the FX5 on the left and the FX3 on the right. It also inherits the Big 6 interface from Burano and Venice, bringing Sony's high-end cinema workflow into a much smaller camera, so stepping into that world feels a lot more natural. Now let's talk about the audio features. This is the new professional XLR input handle, which features 32-bit recording, 3.5mm input, and 3.5mm headphone output. This unit comes with the new NPSA 100 battery that gives you approximately 130 minutes of 4K 60p recording, along with the dual charger. Multi-interface shoe protective cap. We now have an optional electronic viewfinder that's tiltable and designed for bright exterior shooting. After getting our initial settings dialed in, I just wanted to mention that the new FX5 weighs 1.62 pounds or 734 grams, which is less than 5% of a weight increase compared to the FX3. For memory, we have 2 CF Express A slots and 2 SD slots. We'll be working with 2 2TB CFA cards throughout the week. These cards have read speeds of 1800 megabytes per second and write speeds of 1650 megabytes per second. Since we're going to be filming in 16-bit RAW, I needed cards that were reliable. Ethernet port, HDMI Type A, 2 USB-C ports, and 4 1/4" 20 mounting points. There's a new multifunction dial that's inherited from the Venice 2 in Burano. 6 assignable buttons.
Hold on, guys. My cat's doing the adorable thing again. Hey, Nala. You want to come up? Good girl. Let's see if I can... Want to come up? Good girl. Anything to say? Good girl. Okay.
Clips, menu, home, user buttons, grab button, but my favorite, the new record sound.
Ooh. I do
All
like
right, now
that.
that we've knocked out
Wait,
the technical.
I do like it, but I would never turn it on. But yeah, I mean. Driftless says, hold on. That update Sony is saying will come in late 27? Damn. Fez says, if autofocus is very important for wildlife, especially catching small eyes at huge distances, then I can see how Sony might feel like the only option. I mean, I do wildlife. I generally don't seem to have that same kind of problem. I think it's a bit overblown. It depends on what you're shooting, though, I guess. But then again, I just don't have enough experience with it. But like with certain, like let's say with birds and stuff, maybe, who knows? It might be super useful, like fast, that kind of fast moving. But then again, my autofocus has been pretty good with my wildlife captures. There's just like a few different animal types that it seems to struggle with. So like horses, I think it struggles with. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not like perfect, but I don't really run into a problem where I end up like fully missing the moment. But it's also like I've switched more towards video, so it's less important in my opinion to have like locked on focus when you're filming wildlife compared to when you're trying to get that clean, you know, single capture. So yeah, I've become less caring about the autofocus is what I'm saying. I do notice limits on Nikon autofocus when shooting birds and smaller animals. Other than that, I have not had any issues. Driftless says my ZRs are nowhere near as good as the A7S Mark III, and that is a 6-year-old camera. Damn, okay. I did have to tweak it a lot to get it to this point where it worked on its own when filming crowds of people, says Fed. For autofocus, that is. Fed says it depends a lot on what you want it to do. To find a lot of tweaking is needed for each mode I've made for the ZR. Sony just does it out of the box. It seems less tweaking needed. Gotcha. Driftless says, I would say the autofocus is pretty minor, but I know my A7S III really kept focused, especially behind branches or in flight when other birds were present. Okay.
Go, Steph. Let's take a moment to zoom out. This is the cinema line journey. It's also a reflection of my growth as a filmmaker. The FX30 in Hawaii, the FX2 with ASC, the FX3 here in New York City, the FX6 in China, the Burano in Las Vegas, and hopefully, one day, the Venice 2. Every one of those cameras became its own YouTube video. Everyone taught me something new, and I poured everything I had into each one. If you go back and watch those early videos, I didn't even know how to color grade log footage back then. I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. But looking back now, I'm actually grateful for every single one of them, because those mistakes, those long editing nights, they're what ultimately shaped me into the filmmaker I am today. And now, we have the FX5. To me, This camera represents the next step in that journey. Built for filmmakers who need professional cinema performance in a compact form factor. It's positioned above the FX3 and below the FX6. It inherits many of the production workflows first introduced in the Burano and Venice, bringing Sony's high-end cinema experience into a much smaller production-ready camera. Whether you're shooting documentaries, commercials, narrative films, events, gimbal work, or social content, it has the flexibility to work as a solo operator camera while integrating seamlessly into larger Burano and Venice productions. For creators looking to take that next step, this feels like a natural progression. But at the end of the day, none of this matters if you don't actually go out and create. A camera is just a tool. The story is what gives it purpose. So let's take the FX5 into New York City. Our first scene takes us to Summit 1 Vanderbilt, a 7 a.m. sunrise mission. But this shoot comes with a challenge. For the first time, I'm handing the camera to one of my best friends, David Quach. Because sometimes, the best way to learn a new camera is to step away from it. And while David's behind the lens, I get to work with my favorite director of all time, my wife, Jaylin.
You should just get a walking shot going.
My wife, man. I'm always, every time I see this, I point it out. I'm so jealous of like these partners when you've got like whether a significant other or whatever it is, where you're doing things together. Oh, I'm so jealous.
Straight down.
As a solo creator, as of now, oh, I would love to just like be able to always travel knowing like, okay, you and I, we're going to make our film, do some crazy stuff. Fed says, I did see some people complaining about the FX5 with the autofocus, not the autofocus itself, but the new cinema menus, luxury problem, I guess. They're used to other settings for the autofocus, and now it's different in the cinema menus. Okay.
First.
5K, 60.
It's like a growing pains, I guess, or learning curve.
Slightly look left. Yup. Can you face this way? Wait, just do the details on his shirt. Can you keep some distance? Okay, yep. Again, a little bit lower. Ready, action. Can you center?
This line?
Yeah, this is the line. Hold on, can we do it again? Track him? It was like off center, David. Oh, that looks good, okay.
Yo, what is this? What is this place?
I'm ready.
This place is fancy. This feels like a dream to be filming in. All these like glass and damn.
3, 2, 1, action.
Wait, what were the settings there? What does it say? I don't know how to read this Sony menu or overlay. So it's like slightly underexposed. It's got 2 vertical lines on the histogram. So I wonder what that represents. I'm assuming the far right line is like the pure white line. So shutter angle 180, 60 frames per second, f2.8 aperture, in S709. I don't know how to read the rest of this. What I'm saying, 16:9, 800. I'm assuming that's the ISO maybe. And then shooting in log. Oh, and then it shows 70 millimeters. Okay. I'm surprised they showed that. Because it showed the autofocus kind of zonking out for a second. Hold on. That's a choice. Because in some ways it shows the honesty, or it's like a very candid moment. But then you would assume Sony would have preferred, if you're showing the actual behind the scenes, that you show like a clean, like always capturing the eye moment. But like it's also impressive because the eye wasn't necessarily visible and it seemed to understand the job. Fed says, yeah, it's when shooting birds within branches and stuff like that, it fails for me with this Nikon. Cats and dogs seem like less of an issue, but for birds it fails a lot, yeah.
Okay, cut.
Next up, I'm filming with a dude. She's a Sudanese model based between New York and Los Angeles.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and turn.
We met a couple years ago, and ever since then I've always wanted to collaborate with her on something. I figured, what better way to put the brand new cinema camera to the test than by catching up with a friend. For this shoot, I paired the FX5 with one of my favorite lenses, the Sony 85 1.4 G Master. It's a combination I kept coming back to throughout the day. I connected the camera to DJI's transmission system so a dude could review each take in real time.
Beautiful. I'm gonna punch in at 70, so we have some separation.
It's a simple workflow, but being able to immediately show your subject what you're seeing helps build confidence and makes collaboration that much easier. One feature I was especially excited to see make its way to the cinema line is false color. It's something cinematographers have relied on for years, and having it built directly into the FX5 makes exposing skin tones faster, more consistent, and gives you confidence before you ever hit record. If I wanted another reference, zebras were always just a button press away. As the afternoon sun got brighter, I attached the optional viewfinder. It made composing shots outdoors much more comfortable while giving me a clear view of the inherited Burano and Venice interface, whether I was
Driftle says that's my experience as well. Issues with beaver swimming. Fed says I don't know if it can be fixed using different settings for what to focus on, but the ZR has much less focus points than Sony cameras from what I understand. Yeah, I'm excited for a new body. Let's just say that. I'm excited whether it's the new, everyone keeps talking about what? Maybe a Z9 Mark II coming out, or who knows, but Fez says, yeah, light in the water, so is an issue tricking the autofocus. Gotcha.
directing, reviewing takes, or moving on to the gimbal. The camera stayed out the way, so we could focus on making the shot. To wrap up the shoot, a dude asked if we could grab a few vertical shots for social. Similar to the FX2, the FX5 is also getting an optimized vertical shooting interface in the future firmware update. And I switched over to Rec 709 so I could send her the footage straight out of the camera.
After a sunrise mission and an afternoon of filming, we ran into a real problem. We were hungry. So naturally, we pulled up to Chinatown, one of my favorite spots in the city. Roast duck over rice from Wah Fung. Still one of the best meals that you could get in New York. Sometimes the best part about production isn't what's on the shot list, it's the moments in between. Then we made our way through Chinatown, stopped at a local skate park, and eventually found ourselves underneath the Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay, after a super long time, I think I'm done with this edit. It's like not bad. I have nothing against it. It's just the shot itself is slightly blurry-ish from a distance. I did struggle with the cropping, but I think this is the cropping I'm going to land on. I try to keep the red basically the highlight of this. And it's fairly dark, but, you know, I'm okay with it. So, yeah, I'll put this in, like, the medium category of, like, okay, how are my shots so far? Yeah. Otherwise, we finally arrived at the lodge. Apparently I took one shot, or, like, a couple shots of, I think his name's Isaac. Can I see the name tag? No, I remember his name being Isaac. Super cool guy. He was our, he like took care of us the whole time at the lodge. This is at Kringo Bundi Gorilla Lodge. Fez says Sony works much better in low light with the autofocus. They keep saying the Nikon was going to work in low light, but the lower the light, the more issues. My film shoots, yesterday we filmed in 8K 30 frames in S Cinetone on the A1 Mark II. 1.7 terabytes of footage for 2 cameras. That autofocus was absolutely insane. Says Driftless. Okay. All right. Should we edit this one? I think so. Just a fun shot. It's super contrasty, so that could be fun to play with. I don't think it really matters between these two shots. We'll go with the ISO 400. Yeah.
One cool thing I learned throughout this process is that the FX5 can record multiple tracks of audio at the same time. So for a car rig shot like this, I could capture clean audio from my DJI mic.
You figured it out, David? You figure it out?
While also recording the camera's internal.
Wait, what did it say? I missed that.
One cool thing I learned throughout this process is that the FX5 can record multiple tracks of audio at the same time. So for a car rig shot like this, I could capture clean audio from my DJI mic.
You figured it out, David? You figure it out?
While also recording the camera's internal audio from outside the car, then choose between them in editing depending on what the scene needed. I could also use my phone as an external monitor to check things like ISO, remaining memory, battery percentage, or even start and stop remotely. For this next scene, we're going to use the FX5's 1.5x anamorphic D-squeeze. Rick brought over a set of DZO anamorphic lenses for us to test. Anamorphic lenses capture a wider field of view while giving you that cinematic stretched look, oval bokeh, and those signature horizontal lens flares. Before turning on the D-squeeze setting, you can see that the image looks compressed and stretched vertically. But once we switch it on, the image corrects itself so we can properly frame the shot in the intended aspect ratio.
That's cool.
And when I shine this iPhone light directly onto the lens, you can see those big horizontal flares that give us that classic Michael Bay effect. But testing it inside is one thing. We need to step out and really put these lenses to the test. Later that night, we switched back to a standard lens setup, and the Argentine fans had completely taken over Times Square. And then it was time for the final boss test. How does the FX5 perform in the real production environment? We built it out as our A-cam, using the top panel to support an external monitor for capturing a screen and camera settings, a shotgun mic, and DJI wireless video transmission. And the scene? An interview at Chef's Table with executive chefs Marco and Max. We set up the Brano as our B-cam with the 7200 and loaded it up with two 2TB Lexar Professional Gold CF Express 4.0 Type B cards, with read speeds up to 3600 megabytes per second and write speeds up to 3300 megabytes per second, giving us plenty of storage and performance for the Brano's high resolution recording formats, while the FX3 handled behind the scenes coverage. For the main shot, we kept the lighting simple with a single fill light and paired the FX5 with a 16mm so that we could frame both the chefs together. I directed the interview and Store brought his production experience and helped me build out the entire setup for the shoot. But beyond the cameras and the production setup, the real story was how these two chefs brought their different backgrounds together through the food.
So it's very beautiful that we are two chefs who have two different cultures in Europe, and then the third culture being Japan and America, and we can really melt that and intertwine that into the menu, and that is something what is very beautiful, and that comes to mind, I would say.
You know, every day we try to become better. We we are never satisfied with a dish. We always try to tweak it. You know, that's also the beauty. We have a chef's table, so we have an open kitchen, so we can see directly the guests, you know, how they...
Okay, so you guys are talking about the two cameras, something about Gerald Undone, did some comparisons. 4,000 better than the 6.3, that's the tough part. Yeah, I mean, just off the money alone, I'm like, I just can't justify that for what I do personally, but it's like, yeah, to spend 4,000 to 6,000 as the starting point, yeah. But if you're already a Sony shooter, if you already have an FX3 or something like that, let's say you traded in, you've already got some of the other, maybe some of the accessories, or I don't know, some things where it may be easier. Obviously the lenses, I can see obviously the value.
Enjoy the food.
Over the past few days, I pushed myself across every part of the creative process. Directing, producing, filming, scripting, and editing. The goal was to make something that didn't just talk about what the camera could do, but actually show you. And honestly, working with all of Sony's other cinema cameras over the years felt like preparation for this moment. I'm incredibly honored to be one of the first people in the world trusted to introduce the FX5. But just like the cameras keep evolving, I'm still evolving as well. I'm always refining my process, experimenting, and looking for ways to become a better filmmaker. This entire project was edited on my new 16-inch M5 Max MacBook Pro. It's completely maxed out with 18 cores of CPU, 40 core GPU, 16-core neural engine, and 8 terabytes of storage.
M5?
It's the fastest laptop I've ever used. For me, it's simple. I regularly work with high-resolution footage, sometimes all the way up to 8K RAW. And over the years, I've learned that creativity can sometimes be
Wait,
limited.
I like how in his video about the Sony FX5, he's also now promoting Apple. Yeah. Well, I guess it's proof that he's in charge of his own video here. Driftless says I'll probably jump into the Z9 Mark II when that drops. Oh man, I'm so excited. As if I know anything, but if the rumors are true and they're gonna make a Mark II, I feel like I need to hop on that. I already am starting to sell my Sony lenses. When Nikon and Red came together, yeah, I'm excited for the future of what will come down. I am very much excited as well. Fed says, yeah, of course, if you're invested in Sony glass, I can see a lot of people won't want to change. I feel the Log 3G10 and H.265 will be awesome when Nikon drops this for the ZR. Yeah, I mean, come on. Let's see it.
By the hardware trying to keep up with it, but this machine sent the footage flying. There were moments when I was rendering 8K files in DaVinci Resolve while editing the rest of the video in Final Cut Pro at the same time. And because we were filming across multiple cameras and recording formats, I paired...
I don't know why, but it's like, this is so funny to me. It's like, I'm imagining Sony said, hey, can you make this video for us? Right? It's in here are the rules, here's the NDAs, blah, blah, blah. And then he makes a video, and at the very last part of the video, it's like, this is actually a promotion for the new Apple MacBook M5 something something whatever. It can do this, this, and that. I don't know. I find it funny.
The Lexar professional workflow system with both the CF Express Type A and Type B card readers to offload everything at the end of each day. By the time we wrapped, this entire project had grown to almost 4 terabytes. It was a massive undertaking, and I hope this gave you a real sense of what the FX5 is capable of when you take it beyond the spec sheet and put it into the hands of working filmmakers. And if you made it all the way to the end, thanks for sticking around. Until next time, your camera homie, Andy.
Shout out to this guy, man. He's doing the things the right way, in my opinion. My God. I'm pretty sure he's the Instagram guy, but I don't remember exactly. Why you should not buy the Sony FX5. Jesus. Okay, this might be the last Sony FX5 video we've got lined up. All right, this one's very provocative, so I figured let's hear him out. Someone named Lee Zavitz. I must have seen his video before, but okay. Fed says, yeah, ZR Nikon buying Red is what made me get Nikon. I haven't had a Nikon since DSLR days.
A couple days now since the FX5 was released to the world, and I've compiled a list of comments, concerns, and just straight up misconceptions about this camera. And I decided I'm just going to flip the camera on, talk to it, because apparently this is my job now. Not only making videos, but just managing comment sections. Now, I've had the S1 II for well over a year now, and I've also had the Nikon ZR for almost a year as well. And I've got kind of a good grasp now on all of these cameras that kind of keep coming up, that keep getting compared to the FX5, outside of the FX3, which I don't own, but I do own the A7S III here, which I've owned for 6 years, and it's nearly identical to the FX3 in most ways. So let's get into stuff that people are kind of bent out of shape about. And guys, it's not that serious. It's literally just a camera. But first up, let's talk about the new menu. This seems to be a huge issue for people, and I kind of get it. I don't personally like it as much as like the alpha camera menus, which are basically what you would get in an FX3 and an FX2. Now the FX5 menu is completely different if you're coming from those cameras. This is actually simpler though. It kind of strips back all the photo options and stuff that you would get in that menu, because this is just strictly a cinema camera. And it's actually pretty similar to the FX6, to the Burano, the Venice. Of course, it's not identical because all of those cameras have different features and specs, but it's kind of in that same family. So if you're used to the FX3 menus, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. And if you're using the FX3 and an FX5 together on set, you're going to have to memorize both menu systems because they're way different. And I could see that being a bit annoying because, you know, they're both Sony cameras, but they're not operating the same way. Now, if you had this next to the FX6 side by side on set, now you're kind of in the same realm. They have similar menus. And so you can kind of see what Sony's doing here. They're pulling the FX5 kind of more closer to the actual cinema line, the cinema ecosystem. And honestly, I'm here for it. And so that...
So same, I still have my D200, 5000. Fed says I kind of want a Raptor Komodo X right now, but I haven't been able to talk myself into it. And then you have the Blackmagic Pixis 12K. Yeah.
That brings me to the larger point here. The FX5 is not a hybrid camera. And that could be Sony's fault for calling the FX3 and the FX2 cinema cameras when they're really just hybrid cameras kind of like alpha cameras, but with Cine EI, a fan, shutter angle, all wrapped in like a cinema line paint job, where the FX5 is like a true compact cinema camera. Just has the form factor of a hybrid camera. So, you know, like it would be cool if this did take photos, but it only shoots video. And I've been seeing a lot of people mad about this. And so,
wait, how did I know? I mean, I made a comment about it, but I guess I didn't think of, that didn't register with me. Yeah, I mean, that would play a role in my decision making. Like I said, I'm not a pure cinema guy just yet. I love doing hybrid stuff when I'm traveling. I like being able to stop to grab a nice still in addition to video mode. So I don't want to be restricted into like only one way of shooting or one way of capturing things. So yeah, and that's, yeah, I think I still want a proper like hybrid concept.
So basically, if it doesn't work for you, just don't buy it, because there's tons of hybrid options out there. This is just a video machine. Okay, so the next big thing I see people getting bent out of shape about is that this camera reboots when changing frame rates. Let's take a breath, guys. It's not end of the world. It's not even something new, because the FX6 also does the exact same thing, and Chris made a reel about it.
A lot of people are complaining about the FX5 reboot time. Just so I can show you, this is the FX6, right? Let's go recording format. We're in 60 frames per second right now, and we're going to change it to 23.98. We're going to execute that. Look at that, rebooting. That's a thing with some cameras, guys. It's just a thing. If the reboot time is going to be an issue for you, the FX5 or the FX6...
Wait, how long is the reboot time? Because that would be a game changer as well for me. Because like when I'm, for like my travel stuff, I'm like constantly switching between frame rates and other stuff just to quickly catch a fast moment versus a slow one. So if I had to wait to reboot, that would suck ass too. Hold on, what did I miss here?
Time, just so I can show you.
And Chris made a reel. It's not even something new, because the FX6 also does the exact same thing, and Chris made a reel about it.
A lot of people are complaining about the FX5 reboot time. Just so I can show you, this is the FX6, right? Let's go recording format. We're in 60 frames per second right now, and we're going to change it to 23.98. We're going to execute that. Look at that, rebooting. That's a thing with some cameras, guys. It's just a thing. If the reboot time is going to be an issue for you, the FX5 or the FX6 might not be the camera for you if you need to change frame rates that frequently, but that's how long it took in real time.
And I get it. The majority of compact hybrid cameras don't need to reboot to change the frame rate, so I get it. And what I think is actually happening is that it's rebooting the system, it's reconfiguring and optimizing the sensor for the new frame rate, it's potentially doing pixel remapping, it's probably resetting the time code and stuff like that. Or maybe it's just a legacy architecture brought over from the FX6. I don't even know, but it could be annoying if you're coming from the FX3, which doesn't do that. And I also want to be clear that the reboot isn't required after every switch. If I switch between 120 frames per second and 60, there's no reboot. If I switch from 30 to 60, there's no reboot. But if I want to go from 30 to 120 or 24 to 120, it actually reboots. So I don't know. It's just something you need to deal with. It's not really end of the world. But if you're a run and gun shooter and you're trying to change frame rates mid-shoot all the time and you don't want...
That's me. I didn't know the Sony FX6 had that problem as well. Okay. Not for me in that sense. For my particular needs right now.
Reboot, then this might not be the camera for you. Now I want to address a few specific complaints I saw online. One is that you can't use the hot shoe and the EVF at the same time, and that's true, and that's because they physically would interfere with each other. So you can't use a mic on the hot shoe, you can't use the XLR handle on the hot shoe if you want to use the EVF, because it'll just be in the way. But I did see a concept that someone posted on Threads about an adapter that would plug in that would allow you to actually relocate the EVF off on an arm and then still use the hot shoe with the top handle. So it's kind of like a little mini FX6 rig when you rig it up that way. And complaint number 2 is that there's no autofocus when de-squeezing anamorphic footage. And yeah, that's probably one of my personal #1 complaints. So when you turn on the anamorphic de-squeeze...
Yeah, because then I don't know if this is always the case for all anamorphics. I have no idea. But then it sounds like you do have to purchase all the other accessories to be able to get autofocus if you want it, or to do all the pulling and stuff, right? But maybe that's just a requirement anyways. If you're spending this kind of money on that cinema camera, you have to buy all the accessories. I don't know.
In camera, it disables the autofocus, but in 2026, there's only like 5 or 6 autofocusing anamorphic lenses right now on the market anyway. So it's kind of a niche problem. You'll have to use an external monitor or the monitor and control app to de-squeeze.
Okay, this photo turned out pretty nice as well. I'm happy with it. So if we look at the, there's a few different directions I could have taken with this shot, if I'm being honest. And, you know, it's just a fun little people shot. I can always change my mind later. I decided to go with more super wide angle approach. And thankfully, again, if you want to talk about the power of this camera, you look at the freaking histogram here. It was clearly super underexposed right on him, right? I think I was just taking some passing shots here. I didn't fuss around with the settings or anything. But then in terms of all the data, or I guess all the, you know, what you can bring back and rescue, I mean, it's a bit soft on his face, but I added a bit of lighting this way anyways. And then once I put it through my final rinse of color grading, I think this shot's pretty cool, you know? I'm kind of happy with this. We put the texture in there, the halation and the bloom and all that fun stuff that I've been playing around with. But again, if you were to see the before shot, super dark, super underexposed, but do not fret. These cameras are powerful. So even with the ZR 24 megapixel and whatever else I was doing, boom, we get all this rescued back into our final image. And I like it. I like it a lot. So what does that mean? That means starting on the next stream, we are officially going to be editing guerrilla photos, which is the final part of my trip. So we'll work on just a couple of these like landscape-ish shots that I have. And then we'll have a few moments here when hopefully one of these, yeah, I'll edit one of these shots, hopefully. Then we're going to get into the guerrilla stuff. Now, just because I'm getting into guerrilla does not necessarily mean I have the best photos to work with. Again, keep in mind, I'm here for my guests. So I'm just, part of my job is just to make sure my guests are getting the best positions, getting the best photos possible. Number two, in terms of, I mean, I was balancing between taking video and photo, so I was still focusing more on video. Number three, where the gorillas were located, it was nice that they were out in the open near the river. So it also kept it cool for us because we literally plopped our asses down in the river at times. But there was a lot of like harsh lighting and like, you know, you can see here mixed lighting situations. So it wasn't necessarily the easiest to work with. And I forget what time of day it was, but it was like when the sunlight was hitting, it was pretty harsh light, let's say, especially with like the black fur of the gorilla. So not necessarily the easiest to capture when you're out in the, like when the gorillas are exposed out in the open like that. And then what other caveats would I put in place? Oh yeah, the biggest caveat I was dealing with, I keep mentioning, but this is when that Nairobi fly, we believe it was a Nairobi fly, but this one I was dealing with a huge ass chemical toxic burn across the entire back of my neck. We didn't know what it was at the time either, so it was like a huge concern about like, is this about to spread? Is it contagious? Is it like a parasitic thing? No idea. All I knew is that the entire back of my neck was blistering and disgusting and all that. So I was dealing with that while I decided to still do the gorilla trek because like, why would I not? But then I had to try to protect my neck the whole time. And it was just like a lot that I was trying to figure out. So all of those caveats aside, there should be a few shots here that I think will be really fun to edit. Especially there's a few with the mom and the baby together. And again, you're going to deal with a lot of obstructions. It's not like a fully clean shot, but it's fine. I'm not like usually that fussed about that either. So we're going to have some fun edits coming up. And then I had done a few of those. Some of the framing of the silverback here. Some baby shots I think will be fun as well. And then there we go. Then basically the trip is over. We got a few more on my way to the airstrip. And then my trip concluded since I had to head to a clinic, get my neck checked out, and then I rested up before my next trip. So, all right. So I think that's kind of where we're going to end it for today. You might have heard my alarm go off. I have a call in like 15 minutes that I have to make sure I don't miss. So let's keep that in mind. But as a recap, these are the photos that we edited today. I'm quite happy with all of them. So we got that one. We got the kid in the red sweater. Then we have a few when the bike was passing and then the kids were running by. So we got 3 different shots, different perspectives, different focus. I like it a lot. So we got another kid waving as we passed by. Then we have another kid waving as we pass by. So that was like that was the theme of the trip, basically. I mentioned it's going to be part of my videos, but one of the best unsung heroes, I don't know, one of the underrated elements of visiting Uganda is the people, right? The people are super welcoming, friendly. It puts you in a positive mood every single time. So yeah, and then these were from before. So I think proper day of edits. What does my cat think? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Listen to this guy coping, says Fed. You can use anything in anamorphic mode using anamorphic squeeze on Panasonic Lumix. I had that on a Panasonic's, Jesus, is it Panasonic Lumix S5 over 6 years ago. Fed says that Lumix S5 was like about $2,000 back then, 22, 23 with the kit lens. Damn. Driftless says, keep up the great work. You are doing great. I love these photos. Nikon literally takes the most pleasing photos, I feel. I've never had a problem with the color science, or I don't know what you call it. I've never had problems with the quality of my images with Nikon at all. Really, it's just I feel like it does one of the, it's one of the best in the game. I have no complaints. Autofocus, I mean, it sounds like it could use some improvement, so fingers crossed that they constantly improve it, but it looks, they've proven that they are stepping up, right? So Elvis says, thank you, welcome to Kenya soon. Oh yeah, I think I'll be in Kenya in November. If all goes well, I should be going there for a fun little project. That's when I'll be, hopefully, we'll be prepared by then, but I'll be testing out the live streaming, on a Jeep Safari. So a lot of stuff I need to still prep on my end to make sure that happens smoothly. But yes, we'll look forward to it. Okay, thank you guys. I need to prep for this quick call that I have on my end. I appreciate it. Happy Sunday, everyone. If I don't stream tomorrow, like I said, I have some engagements tomorrow that might clash potentially. So if you don't see me tomorrow, I'll be back the next day. But hopefully I will, you'll hear from me tomorrow as well. All right. Thank you. Please, says Elvis. Oh, link up or something? Yeah. And Fez says, yeah, all the other brands need to catch up with autofocus yet. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful stream. Happy Sunday. I'll see you.